What is up with it? This is Taffokins and the Crimson Blur here for our 20th episode of the Commentator's Curse. We're on Wednesday because I have some family things I need to take care of this week. Normally we're on Thursdays, but today we're doing it on Wednesdays. Usually when we do it, it's around 7:30 to 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. But I have to ask you a question, Crimson.
What's up?
What do you think about a Q&A live session on Friday?
Oh, that's interesting. Why do you bring that up?
Because I will be in NorCal starting on like Friday late afternoon.
Oh, we could do that. That sounds fun.
So I'm going to invite myself to Twitch then.
Yeah, we could do that. That's fun. It's a good idea.
Okay, cool. We will do that on Friday, sometime in the late afternoon.
Sure. But yeah, man, there's a lot to talk about this episode. 20th episode. Somehow we made it to number 20. I think everyone's in shock that we made it to 20 episodes. But the fans really like the show, so we're going to keep it up. Yeah, there's actually, right as we start, I want to bring up an awesome Facebook group created by one of the fans of the show, Edwin Budding, that people can check out. We should add it to the description of the YouTube video. You guys can just join that if you want to be part of the discussion, talk about what we talked about during the week show, maybe talk about, the recent happenings in Melee, things like that. Generally, it's where analysts go to talk about Melee, is what I would think of that group.
Pretty sick, and definitely do it. I'm an admin. I believe you're an admin. I don't even have to do anything to be an admin. I call that top analyst privilege. TAP.
Top analyst privilege?
Yeah.
That's funny.
All right. So, I think what's on everybody's minds. Let's get the smaller stuff out of the way. Should we start with some kind of happenings? You and I, we actually talked about this not too long ago, where you hypothesized a certain box was going to make some life decisions.
Yeah, man. I don't know who did that. How did I know that, man? It's crazy.
It's as if you talked to him and had some insider information on this whole thing.
See, that's the best part about me being an analyst. I'm usually right because I know everything already.
So you clearly knew because of the conversation we had a couple weeks ago, where you were hypothesizing and saying, "You think that guy, in your words, you think he's going to stay with his job? He makes more than enough money. He's going to quit soon." And lo and behold, he did.
Yep. I think it was expected. I also kind of relate to it because I'm someone who comes from an engineering background, and I know what it's like to kind of put that career on hold. And as everyone knows, engineering pays a lot of money, and when you smash, doesn't always. So making that leap of faith is really hard. Obviously I'm in a different position because he did it because he wants to pursue his dream of becoming the best in the world. I did it because I want to pursue my dream of making the Smash community the best it can be. It's not that different of a situation, though. So I think uniquely, I understand how hard of a decision that must have been for him. And frankly, having done it, I could say it's the best decision I ever made. It's super, super good. And I think he'll see that in due time, too.
Awesome. I hope that I can join the train one day. Everybody's asking me. IGN guys are asking me. Who knows? Eventually. Anyway, so congrats to the box. I agree with the decision. I think you agree with it, and I think he'll be fine financially for the time being, and I think for a while. So we're happy for him. Alrighty.
Yeah, people don't realize, but Smash is, at least especially at the top level, is quite sustainable right now. Quite sustainable for the players. The players are doing fine. Don't let them tell you any different. In terms of the top 10-ish, the next 20 are scraping by, but we made some significant progress in that front in the last year or so.
Yeah, and I think it maybe it doesn't grow like exponentially, but we're still growing to the point where I think more people are, it's more of an enticing option, I guess, as
Yeah.
time passes. So, I mean, I think that the big part of this, this episode's obviously Big House. So why don't we go ahead, or why don't we plug Blood for Blood for a little bit, and then we'll go to Big House because I think that's the meat of the episode.
Yeah. So, in this show we do next event preview, and we cover the events, and we're actually sandwiched between two really cool events. Next weekend is going to be Blood for Blood. It is the NorCal versus SoCal tournament. People who are coming on NorCal side, just to pull it up, and then I'll talk about SoCal side, are Shroomed, SFAT, Pew Pew, Zoo, Nintendo, La Dandis, Cactuar, Ralph, Azusa, Phil, Toph, pretty much their entire PR. I'd say basically their whole top 20 is coming. I don't even know if someone who's not coming on NorCal side. Obviously, it's in NorCal, so they'd have no excuse. On SoCal side, it's Wes, Lucky, S2J, Mike Hayes, Kira, Reno, Tafo, Squid, and Luigi Kid, and yada yada yada. So it's good. It's pretty cool. Missing a few names I wish we got, like MacD and Hugs, but otherwise, I think the fact that Wes, Lucky, and Johnny are going is like the key, right? Like the three big hitters versus Shroomed, SFAT, and Pew Pew, the three big hitters. That's the key. So it's gonna be a true showdown. If SoCal loses, I don't really know what to do at that point. So we'll see. It's going to be really interesting. I think what's most interesting about it is that on a skill-by-skill basis, you might say, hey, S-Fast Ascendant, he's going to beat everybody. But I'm not quite sure he'd beat Westfalls. Westfalls is really, really good at the Fox matchup, no matter how you slice it. And, even if he's ascended, like guys like Mango still have trouble with West, right? But will West make it through the Pew Pews and Nintendos of the world on his way? And how will SJ, Lucky, and all that mix things up?
Yeah, and then we also have a surprise appearance from the moon again.
Yeah, the moon's coming, so that'll be good. It's going to be really stacked. If he wins, then I guess it's just like a wash. Like no one. It just we just have to do a blood for blood too and get see who wins that time. But yeah, it's super exciting. It's actually the biggest one-day tournament of all time. It's got a lot of attendance. I think it's like it's up there in this year's largest tournaments ranking. All of a sudden, I didn't expect it to be. I thought we'd get like 250 or something like that. Like a pretty big tournament. It's close to 500 now. So and Reds is still not close. So it's going to be really big and really hype. I'm excited for it. Just doing some final planning for it right after Big House. So it's going to be good times.
It is definitely. I'm excited, although my body definitely hasn't recovered from Big House yet.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I've become a trial fiend, so I'm always the type that's like after like 3-4 days, I know I'll be fine. I think like right now, if you ask me if I'm okay, no. But I know by Friday I'll be fine, and I'll be hungry again to do more stuff and do cool stuff. So that's just how it goes in the life of Smash Brothers. The crazy esports world is that it keeps coming, man.
It just doesn't end, man.
It just doesn't end.
And what was it? I'm going to slowly recover. Fortunately, I do have Friday off. I'm thinking we're going to take it easy. We're going to stream, do a live show. Are you down to eat lavish on Friday night?
Lavash.
Lavash?
Actually, I was at a restaurant called Lavash yesterday, and I thought about that joke. So we are definitely going to eat lavish. Maybe we'll eat lavish at Lavash.
Okay, I'm totally down. You want to go on a date then?
Let's go on a date, dude.
All right. Love you, man. All right. Anyway, we're kind of... Did you mention that this broke the record for a single-day Melee tournament record?
Yep, it does. It is the biggest, which is cool. We love to break records around here. Single day record is a cool one. It's an interesting one. This is pretty much as big as a single day event can be. Like after this point, like you just can't fit it all in one day. So that it's like the limit. So you can't really. Maybe you can get to 512. That's like the real max. But we're kind of at a point where we don't want people to register. Where it's like we're good on people. We got everyone we wanted to. So it's kind of all set. And then other records have been broken this year, like the European biggest, and then like you look at the by country, all the records being broken. So it's really cool to see.
All right. So I'm excited for it. We'll both be there. I'm pretty sure that you have to be there. It's your event.
Hey man, I host events and I'm not there all the
time. Yeah, that's true. You're right. So Big House, how do we want to do this? Cruise double singles?
Yeah, let's do it straight in order.
All right. Cruise, I think it's safe to say all those people that said Florida wasn't really the favorite, like after everything was said and done, where were you guys, last week when all those people were saying Florida's the clear favorite, they're going to win, and then all of a sudden you had like a decent chunk of people come on the WordWorks and say, yeah, I didn't think Florida was really going to win. You guys are full of garbage if you guys are one of those people.
Yeah, and honestly, like, the crew battle ended, but you asked me, hey, what if they run that tournament again, who wins? I still say probably Florida. I felt like Florida had everything go wrong in that finals. Like, Mutual King never performs like that, right? Like, it's just impossible. Shockingly, their strategy wasn't even that bad. I expected if Florida was going to lose, it's because they made some strategical errors, but no, they just didn't play well. They could have done some things better, I suppose, strategically, but they had SoCal on the back foot. They won game one, and then it all went downhill. It was crazy.
I guess Edwin Budding did pick SoCal, so we'll give him props for that.
Budding is a crazy man.
But I don't think anyone foresaw Mutual King throwing 3 stocks.
Mutual King threw 3 stocks, and honestly, even after the fact that they are so good that after Mutual King lost like that, they could still win was crazy, right? Because there was a position where Johnny had to step it up, right? Because they were at a position where SUJ was like their key player because it was like SUJ versus Wizrobe, and Wizrobe is generally favored for that. If SJ had lost that 1v1 like he was about to, if he had made a ferocious comeback, then they would have had Cobalt FD on less balls, right?
Yeah.
So Mutual King absolutely bombs. One of their freaking powerhouses bombs, and they still could have won, right? They were like a stock away from winning still. If you just think about it like that,
yeah.
Ultimately, it was still super close, but it makes me think. I kind of wish we got a chance to see Europe versus Florida because I think that would have been interesting as well. I think Europe, on the other hand, might have made some errors in coaching in how they pick things. I think what people need to realize, I think there's a good stat about it, is that. I think every crew battle except the finals, just about. So 6 out of the 7, the team that won the first game won the whole thing. And in a crew battle format, which is 5 people, game 1 is so crucially important. And when people when you put out in Europe's case, I think they put Android in first. That's just a terrible mistake. It's not because Android's bad. It's because you have to go in strong. You have to win that match. It's way too important to go small, right? I want to see more teams put in their Armadas or their Mangoes or their Hungry Boxes first. And Florida did up to that SoCal match, right?
Yeah.
Because it's really that critically important. You need to start strong.
I think. But at the same time, if you knew that you were getting Android versus West, you weren't kicking yourself for that, right?
Yeah, but what if they start with Mango? What if SoCal started with Mango against Android, and then Android gets 2 stock? That's a huge loss.
Yeah.
Because then what do? Well, okay, you go Armada or Leffen. Either one, not fantastic solutions. They Mango probably takes one or two more stocks, and then Armada and Leffen, sure, they're left, but if Armada's left, you'd probably go SUJ or MACD to whittle them down, and then if Leffen's left, you maybe pull Hugs out of the closet as an alternate. I don't know. You can
Hugs
figure it
wasn't
out.
allowed to play, and he
All
wouldn't
right.
have because he's a salt. He's
He's
a
a
salty
salty.
cracker.
He's a salty man. But the point
Um,
is that you could have done something. You could
I
have done
mean,
MACD
to be
maybe.
fair, even against we're both SoCal, we're both rooting for them. We got pretty lucky. We got pretty fortunate against Europe too. Like MacD getting that clutch stock on Professor Pro and then getting a stock off 11 was huge for us.
As crazy of a David versus Goliath, the finals was SoCal versus Florida finals was. The Europe one was probably even a better crew battle because that one came down to the wire.
Yeah.
Once Cobalt blew it, it was kind of over for Florida. Yeah, the semis was crazy because MacD brought it back like crazy. He was getting destroyed by Prof, and it was a scary situation because I think MacD was counterpicked in on Fountain of Dreams. But he got the clutchest gift, and then SUJ, and I mean, he should be the story of a cruise tournament. Clutched it out against Leffen, and then later in the finals, he went on that 8-stock tear for the whole thing. SUJ didn't perform so well in singles, but I still feel like that cruise performance you'll look at SJ career highlights, and I think it's one of his like top 3, maybe top 2 most vaunted accomplishments. Like what he did for SoCal in that crew battle, like we'll remember for a very long time. He carried so hard.
And he played all three positions well. He started against MDVA, he anchored against Europe, and he brought it back against Florida. So he did like everything for them.
Yeah,
MacD, close second. I think MacD, played really well.
yeah.
So good stuff. Everybody played their parts other than Mango.
Yeah, Mango in the finals wasn't too bad, right?
I mean, relatively speaking, like, and what you kind of expect out of them.
No, Mango in the semis against Europe wasn't that good, which is actually crazy that that SoCal still won, right? That they were still able to do it, and I think one of the big things that helped do that was actually Westfall's. Westfall's doing that well against Armada was shocking, right? On FD, he almost took 3 stocks. He took 2 in the end, but he almost took 3. So that really really helped.
Yeah. Let's see. So, kudos to them. I think the big thing here, I mean, I don't want to exaggerate it, but it seems like Florida's players kind of choke when push comes to shove in generally. Like when you compare the Florida players and SoCal players and you look at it kind of in the last year or two, I think Florida, they're great, but when they're in high pressure situations, they're not as good.
Yeah, I mean, they. I think a lot of it has to do with maybe like players like Cobalt. Like when he was going Marth against Falcon, he knew he was screwed, and I think that those sort of holes hurt, right? I think another thing that was exposed in this crew battle format was how much character diversity matters in these crew battles.
Yeah.
Like I think Europe was pretty much screwed because they had too many foxes, right? Prof left in ice and potentially Armada is just too many foxes, right? You're just going to get FD worked, and and you saw that throughout. And I actually think that you look at NorCal. NorCal could have actually had a scare on Florida too. Had Shroom not absolutely bombed, and had Diskit absolutely not bombed. Like they were doing good too, right? Like it's crazy how even the top 4 ended up being. I think that in many respects, I expected because of the power of the gods, there to be more of a difference. But I guess we have to, and we'll see this in the finals too. We have to start respecting people like Ice, SFAT, Pew Pew, Westballs, whatever, a little bit more in a crew battle format because they'll take most gods down to last stock, right? And
Yeah.
that's just good enough in crews.
I I think SFAT definitely. I mean, it's kind of interesting because we had that same kind of question at MLG Anaheim, where it's like you had Mango and a bunch of like demigods, and then like you had the East Coast with their three gods, and I
Yeah.
think we've gone past the age where you can expect like in a 5v5 for a god to single handedly like get like you seven stocks. I don't think we really see that
Yeah,
happening.
that's not the thing. And also, like, you have to like think about it like this: who do you favor? Do you favor SFAT on his counter pick or a god, right? And in some cases, I'm like, no, I think SFAT on a counter pick is better than a god, right?
Yeah,
It's not as good, but SFAT on a counter pick might be good. Like, you might take that. So if the rest of your team is good enough to give you the counter pick advantage, then isn't SFAT more valuable, right?
yeah.
Ultimately, so like Fox doesn't have the best counter picks as a character, so he's kind of a weaker crew battle character. So maybe he's not the best example, but the point is there, right? That people are competitive enough in terms of stock advantage against the gods that in crews the top heaviness is even less effective despite it being five man. Typically in crew formats, depth is everything, right? But the smaller the crew battle gets, the more the top level talent matters. But even in the five man, it felt like the depth was the one deciding it because, like you said, MacD and SJ were the all star performers.
I mean, it's interesting because SFAT got counterpicked by Music King, and he still like debatably won that.
I mean, Mango got counterpicked by Mewtwo King, and he somehow got stocks, you know?
I mean, but that's like more fluky. But like SFAT like straight up non-cheese Music King and took three stocks from Music King before he lost his three.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that's why it's good on FD. He won a game on in tournament there, too, against Mewtwo King. So, I wouldn't, doubt him there.
Okay, so that's pretty much Cruise. Good stuff. And then doubles, that was really interesting. It was the first time we saw Team Alliance in action. So that's our second team, our second static fully sponsored team. And what do you think? What do you see in doubles?
So I commentate doubles. I thought that was probably our best doubles top eight ever. Um, like I feel like I've said that 100 times now, but they've really actually only been getting better. I think it's mostly because, well, first of all, you look at a lot of the doubles top eights pre 2014, I'd say, and they pale in comparison to the ones of nowadays. Uh, because the game's got a lot more serious, because doubles has gotten a lot more attention. PewFast Rise has done a lot, And in the early days, Ken Isaiah was just so dominant that kind of dampened a lot of the hype, right? And then there was the Mango Lucky, four-leaf Mango dominance, and like there's been doubles has usually been a stomp, for the most part in Melee history because two gods would team. Mewtwo Armada stomped through doubles for a lot of Melee history, right? But people have been learning doubles to the point where it's no longer a stomp and everything is close. In fact, almost every set is a game five, right? I don't know why or how, but lately in the last year and a half, doubles has become so absurdly competitive because like people have been making up for talent deficits, quote unquote, for synergy, and that's actually ended up being more valuable than simply having an Armada on your team or simply having a Hungry Box on your team.
Yeah,
It's crazy, but we just saw Chillin versus Chew beat Hungry Box versus Mewtwo King. That happened.
yeah.
That's a thing.
I think that was like really adorable too, right? Because chill and chew, the power of friendship, overcome two gods. I mean, on one hand, I don't think Hungry Box played his greatest either. But then, did you get to talk to Chillin about that set after?
um, no, I didn't actually get a chance.
Okay, so I
I
did.
still, what do you say?
So he was, I told the story the other day. He was inebriated, really touchy feely, and in that
Chillin
moment,
was? Chillin won while inebriated?
no. This was like after the tournament ended.
Oh, I was like, that's incredible.
He was like touchy feely, and I knew that I could get him to talk. So I said, "Hey, like, what do you think about Hungry Box Mewtwo King. He would have probably answered the question like sober too. To be fair, he was like, yeah. For some reason, it was really easy because all Hungry Box would do is play extra aggressive, more aggressive than normal, and Mewtwo King would just go into the corner, and then he and Chew were just like, why don't we just double team Hungry Box? And then that's what they did. And then Mewtwo King would try to go in and overextend, and Chillin would just kick him, and they would just double team Hungry Box, and that was their strategy, and it worked.
Yeah, doesn't sound like that would work normally, but it worked then for sure. And we actually saw two Ice Climbers in top 8 as a result, right? Like both this kid and Chew showing that this character, who is many people say is, not half as good in doubles, can somehow compete. Maybe we have to revisit what we think about Ice Climbers and teams, because I'm starting to see what they're doing, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe Ices are actually okay.
I mean, their down smash is pretty good. They have a pretty decent knockback with like back air. Like they have little tools.
Yeah, but the main thing is their downs. Like that's actually just good enough. Like they win the ground game so hard that they're like no character can play like that, right? No character can just like keep their feet to the ground, wave dash down smash, and like play reactive like that, and hold stage quite like they can, right? Like even a character like Marth goes on platforms against Ice Climbers, right? That's kind of nuts when you think about it, right? And that has a big advantage in doubles because when you force people to platforms, they're forced out of position for your teammate. So the way they're doing it is actually really brilliant, and I recommend anyone who's like an Ice Climber main to really watch the new style of Ice Climbers and teams and take inspiration, because it's actually crazy that 15 years in the game and we're seeing a character basically emerge on the double scene that, for the most part, has greatly struggled to post results.
Yeah, I think it's impressive. I mean, there's definitely certain like teams that if your partner, the Ice Climbers partner, can like goad them into the ground, it's like actually not that bad of a team. So good stuff for them. Chu's always been a good teams partner though.
He has been. He had Mana Cloud, but like I think this is. I mean, you could say this is his best teams result since like '06, right? I can't think of.
I mean, there's that one Apex where like they almost beat Mango and Lucky, and they beat PewFat.
I mean, he's always been good at teams. That's true. And overall, Chill and Chew, very, very good at teams. Overall. Oh, I guess didn't they get 5th at teams in SmashCon? I mean, that was that's not beating Hungrybox at Mango level, but they're just really good. Like people need to recognize.
I mean, like frick, like you can't even watch them in their old Pound 3 video, right, where they're playing Hack Little Rascals.
Oh, dude!
Like they go way back.
Isn't Little Rascals, looking back at it, like the most tragic story in the game's history?
I mean, that's gonna get its own LSL down the road, right?
They should. They really should.
I think that's easily the.
It's one of the best stories in Smash.
I think
that's
it's easily
best untold story.
Easily, I think that would get easily 1 million views, like within like a month or two.
Yeah, it's a crazy emotional story. Yeah.
Anyway, other double stuff. I mean, can we say that this was probably one of the most toughest, the toughest bracket that PewFat could have drawn?
By the way, people are asking Little Rascals is J-Man and Hacks.
Yeah, it is J-Man and Hacks.
They don't remember the old school names. I would say, and I said this before while we were on the show, before it happened, if PewFat wins, this is the most impressive doubles run in history. And they won. They beat, I think, 5 of the top 8 to do it, and they didn't drop a set. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Or wait, did it get a reset on them?
No, they straight up won.
They straight up won, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, like that's crazy. To go through Mac D Ice, Diskin Cobalt, Mac D Ice, Mewtwo H-Box, that double eliminate Team Alliance, that's nuts, man.
Yeah.
That's actually crazy, right? Like, they just ran through the toughest teams in the world, and like usually when you're a team as good as them, you don't have to play this many good teams in a row. But the seeding, by my estimation, by John Guy's estimation, he admitted after the fact, was pretty wrong, right? Like, it's crazy that they had to play that road. But
Yeah.
the fact that they did it made it even more impressive.
So good stuff to them. And did you hear what SFAT and PPU like said? You know how top 64 to top 8 singles bracket was happening right before that?
No.
So like the order of Sunday was did singles for a bit and then doubles and then singles, right?
Yeah.
As Pew, you know how Fendi did the interview with Pew Pew and SFAT after they qualified for top 8? You know
Yeah.
what they said?
What?
They're like, Fendi's like, oh, what are you guys going to do now? It's like, oh, we're just going to take doubles. I have the best partner in the world.
That's sick.
That's like what PPU said before, and then SO said something similar along the lines of, we're going to win doubles right now.
So I want to convey a theory that I have grown to believe as fact. Because I've actually now looked, maybe it's confirmation bias, but I've looked at old results to try and like justify it as well. I think that teams is the ultimate mentality and confidence builder, period, right? Because basically, in teams, you can, with great synergy, you can make gaps in skill up, right? So you can end up beating higher skilled, quote unquote, opponents, higher individual skill, I should say, opponents with a teammate, right? And you guys can do it together. And what that does is build a lot of mental confidence against those same opponents in other events like crews and singles. So I don't think it's a coincidence that players like Ice, who's been doing well in teams recently, both at SmashCon and at this event, and players like Pew Pew and SFAT have been seeing results. I mean, Pew Pew and SFAT have not been doing this well until they start to take sets off the double gods. Pew Pew and SFAT have been a good team for a long time, guys, but they weren't winning sets. They were like a, if you ranked all the best teams in the world, they were like a top 5, 6 team, right? They
Yeah.
were not top 3 team. They could not touch a team like Armada Muta King in the past, right? But in the last like year and a half, 2 years, they have been, right? And what's happened since then? PPU and SFAT have been doing so much better. PPU just got back-to-back top 8s between Evo and this. SFAT has just been on a freaking tear, and no one understands it. And I really do think that if you think about it, how can someone in SFAT shoes be unconfident heading into a singles top 8 if he just won doubles top 8, right? Like, how can he say he's not confident against Armada if he just beat Armada? How can he say he's not confident against Muta King if he just beat Muta King, right? And I think that goes a long, long way, right? Especially if that team performance is done with a stable partner, so you don't feel like you got carried. Like, I think if Android does well in teams, it might not translate as well, because he probably in his own head credits Armada a lot, right?
Yeah.
But I think when PPU and SFAT do well, they feel, they feel the credit to themselves. They feel really fulfilled, and I think that really, really does translate. And I think that you're seeing that confidence in their play.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's funny that you mentioned SFAT, PPU, and Ice in particular, because I think those are the 3 guys that have made the greatest strides in their mental game this year. I
Yeah.
can't, I mean, and their results clearly show it.
So Edwin Budding says, not sure if team's success necessarily means a direct translation. Looking at Reno and Allen. So here's one thing I will say. First of all, Reno has been getting better with his better team's results. That has actually been happening. Look at his results. I don't think it's necessarily true when you're teaming with someone who is known to be higher individual skill than you, right? I think it's when your teams are like Slock Swedish, right? When Slock Swedish was, I think that gave Swedish a lot of confidence, right? And that gave Slocks a lot of confidence, right? When Allen teams were shroomed and he does well and people give all the credit to Shroomed, I'm not sure how much that does for Allen's mental game,
Yeah.
And similarly with Reno and Lucky, like I don't know how much that does. So I think that's the particular case I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. But let's see. Trying to think. I had a thought, but kind of lost it. Grand finals though, winners finals. Did you love it?
Oh yeah, it was great, dude. The wall jump, scar jump, double jump forward air
Oh,
by
that was winners semis. Winners.
yeah, winner. I want to cover that first.
Okay,
That
that's fair. That's fair.
that is one of the greatest teams plays I've ever seen. He literally clutched out a game where they were in dire straits with that. I mean, a double forward air after a wall jump, like, blows my mind. Blows my mind.
It was a sick move. It was a Scar jump, and I'm pretty sure Bobby Scar made it absolutely known that that was a Scar jump, right?
Yeah, so I can't believe he got that. Like, the fact that he had the awareness there was pretty nuts. Uh, yeah, so that was a highlight. I think Team Alliance really represented. They did really well. Like, I know they didn't end up winning, but dude, PewFat, the way they play teams, and I said this in Doubles a lot during the commentary. Like, it's really it must feel so unfair when you're playing them, right? Because one of your teammates dies, and it's just, I called it a commentary, ring of death. Like, one dies, and then the other gets grabbed while the other one's like get respawning, and then that one dies in like that 2-3 seconds. Marth Fox are that efficient at killing people, right?
Yeah.
Then the other one comes down, and that one dies, and then it keeps happening over and over again, right? We see this happen for like 2-3 stocks in a row. And those are backbreakers, right? Like, you can't come back from that. When they do that in a row like that, like, it's over, right? You just can't win.
Yeah, I mean,
And
I've definitely had that happen to me against PewFet, where like I'm teaming with Red. It's like 5 stocks to 5 stocks. We're going toe to toe. We might have a slight lead, and all of a sudden it's like, damn, we're at 2 stocks and we're at 5, and we're just like, damn.
yeah, exactly, right? And I think that, like, they're pushing the boundaries of what Fox Marth can do through that. Like, what they're doing is they recognize that there is nobody in the world who can escape from Marth and Fox on the same stage at one time. You know, like, you have the two best characters in the game. How are you going to get away from that? There's no way, right? If you're left alone against Marth and Fox, you are so screwed. And they're very good at it, right? So they get the opening in a split second, and then since both the characters are really good at team comboing together and have really fast KO potential, right, with Fox as the finisher usually, then almost no matter the percent, they can take you out in like 4 seconds, right? 3-4 seconds.
Yeah.
It's that fast. And so their setups are insane, their finishes are insane, and if your teammate dies, you have to be hyper aware against them because they are like sharks out there looking to take you out, right? Like, it's so tough.
I mean, I think the thing is that they can combo literally off of anything and like do 70 damage to you, like straight back air or more forward air or random up tilt can literally kill you. That's like
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's like it's kind of like Marvel-esque, where like any one straight jab can kill you. Is how I feel about playing against PewFat.
yeah. And I've said in the past, people can disagree with me, but I think that PewFat, when you break it down, um, at their peak skill, at their peak skill, are the best team in the world. You can make a very good case that they're the best team in the world at their regular skill too. I think out of this tournament, they have a very good argument. I'd be, you know, people are still out there thinking that they're not, they're not there. But I'm sure of the fact that at their peak skill, they're the best, right? I have not seen any team perform to their explosive potential like PewFat, right? Like, when PewFat is truly clicking and they're explosive, socks just disappear and you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, and the thing is that they make it really like the other side of it is like Fox can die easily and Marth can die easily, but like they protect each other so well that it becomes painfully hard to like kill them. Where like if you want to kill one of them, you're going to be trading a lot of damage to get that kill.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, it's ultimately like, it makes me, like, watching them makes me also think like just how good is Marth Fox really, right? We had a weird top 8 in the sense that we actually didn't have that many Foxes in doubles top 8 this time. There was SFAT, there was
Cobalt.
Ice, and I think there was Cobalt. I'm trying to think.
I mean, there's Chillin and also Levage.
Chillin also Leverage. I think it was like 5 total. That's probably the list. And Armada, if you want to include him, but I don't think he ever went Fox.
He didn't have to because of $100 getting eliminated.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Who knows if he would have anyways. But 5 Foxes among 16, that sounds, to a casual observer, sounds pretty high already. But in the double sphere, that's actually not that bad, right?
Yeah. I mean, remember that one year where it was like Mutant King Hacks versus like Mango Lucky?
Yeah, exactly. Fox is a really, really good character in doubles. But I think that, I look at a team like Mars Fox and what they can do and how they can really dominate one floaty, one Fox teams, right? And when they're against, a double Fox team, for example, like, dude, they would do that ring around the rosy action on double Fox just so easily, right? How fast could they eviscerate Fox stocks? That's the question, right? Like, it'd be so fast. So, like, that Mars Fox team is really good. I do think that they're playing to their character strengths well, but I also think that, like, Mars Fox, man, that's a good-ass team.
It is. It just requires a Marth with a very unique skill set that's, like, differently emphasized. It emphasizes movement, quick hits, and things that Marth normally doesn't do very often in singles.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think the interesting thing to note here is that I'm really happy, by the way, that Android and Armada have, a team. But if you kind of look at the results this year, they haven't done much in 2016, if you really think about it.
Only in Europe, right? Like, they haven't done much in the States.
I mean, who's the best team they've beaten in Europe?
Exactly, right?
Like Ice and Leffen actually beat them in one of the few times they played.
So, Tafo, make a call. Who's the best team in the world?
If Armada and Mutant King are a thing, I'd probably give it to them.
Are you sure?
It's close.
That's my thing. Like, are you actually sure about that?
I'm not super sure, but I would say Armada Mutant King is probably a little bit better than PewFat.
Yeah, I think I want to see that. I think at Summit we will, very likely, because I don't think Android's going to get voted in. So
we're going to see Armada Mutant King versus PewFat very likely at the event.
Unless HBox is going now to Smash.
Why would Mutant King pick HBox over Armada?
Oh, that's a good question.
Why would Armada? Who would Armada?
I kind of want Android to get voted into Summit though, because I want it for doubles. It would be nice. I kind of want to see the exact same doubles combos. PewFat Alliance. It's like CLG Alliance and Mutant King HBox. That sounds kind of high. It was so good.
SJ Mango.
And we'd see that too, because Johnny's going to get voted in, obviously.
I think, to be honest, Mango-based teams give PewFat a really hard time.
Absolutely.
And so, I think if there's ever a kryptonite with PewFat, it's like a Mango-based team, whether it's with Lucky or SUJ.
Yeah. Maybe.
I mean, if you look at this year, Mango and Lucky did win that one Canada tournament where PewFat was there. SUJ and Lucky beat them at Smash Summit 2 and I think SmashCon 2.
Yeah.
So if there's ever a kryptonite, it would be a Mango-based team.
Yeah. I mean, so to answer the question for myself, I think basically the only 2 teams you can make an argument for best team in the world are PewFat and Armada MGK. And for me, PewFat has entered so much more and have done accomplishments like what we just witnessed that I want to give them the edge, Like, ultimately, Armada Mutant King aren't a thing enough of the time for me to want it. Like, when it's a toss-up, I go to the one that's more active, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. But it's close, right? I mean, that's why we have the dilemma, and that's why this is even a discussion, is that it's not clear-cut.
It's not clear-cut because Armada Mutant King is also that good.
Yeah, I can dig that. I think
it's close. I think it's very, very close.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that's what makes Summit exciting in a way that we don't normally expect it to be, right?
Navi says, Armada Mutant King are undefeated this year. That is true, but they've also only teamed, I think, 3 times and only twice with Pew Fat there. To my knowledge, that they did that Smash Summit 2 and Genesis 3. So that's not very good. And I mean, if you just extend it to last year,
They
last
won.
that Smash, they lost last Smash Summit. So it's
Yeah,
like,
PewFat won the Smash Summit 1, if I remember
yeah.
correctly.
So like, dude, they just haven't teamed that much. Like, is the truth because Armada usually prefers to team with Android.
Dude, you know what would be
So
super interesting?
what's up?
Mango Meat King versus Left in Armada.
Interesting. That would be interesting.
Although
I
Leffen
think,
would
I
never
think,
team with
I think,
Armada.
I think I think there's a Armada Mango would be a really, really good team. Like, I would be that'd be a really, really good team.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, so, like, I mean, if we look at the lineup of Smash Summit, there's going to be Armada Meat King, PewFat, SCJ Mango, Leffen Ice. Leffen Ice is a really good team.
Levin Ice is very good. I think Ice, dude. We're gonna talk about Ice, obviously.
Yeah.
Ice is really good at teams. He's probably higher than both our eye test and our results-based teams individual skill list it said. Because I watch him, I'm like, he's going toe-to-toe with SFAT, man. And no one does that in teams, right? So he looked really good. He looked clean, period, all event. And the thing I'll say about Ice is I have never seen someone play Fox with as few errors, right? Like, I don't think I've played a single stock of Melee in my life without a technical mistake. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that's happened yet for me, let alone an entire game. I don't think I've ever done what my mind wants it to. I've done 80%, probably 90%, but there's always some mistakes, right? Ice is like a scary case where, like, I've seen entire games from him where he's doing what he wants to do. He's making wrong judgments, right? But he's doing what he wants to do. And that is insane to do at the top level, right? With all the pressure, with all the, on stage, let alone. And in hectic situations like teams, like, he wants to tech, he techs. Like, what the hell, right? Like, it's just so few technical errors. It's crazy. It's insane that he was that consistent.
It's nutty. And there's one other team that Lumpy Gravy mentioned, HBox Plup. Can't ignore that team either.
Oh yeah, Ace Box Club.
So that's 5 good teams potentially out of the 16 players.
Yeah, something's gonna be lit. It's gonna be
That's
nuts.
the most stacked tournament I've heard for doubles, like, in my life.
Smash Summit? Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, kudos to PewFat. I think it's going to be a very back and forth thing. And what's going to be really interesting as the narratives follow, I think there's a lot more interest. And that there's a lot of pride on the line that now we have 2 full teams, sponsored.
Yeah, I hope that becomes a thing. I want more. I want Ice to get picked up by Splice, personally. I think MacD Ice could be a thing long term. Like you said, you think that MacD is a top 5 teams player by the eye test. I disagree on that point. I think he's a little bit lower than that, but I think that I don't think what you're saying is that wrong. I think he is that good that could actually be a true statement. And I think Ice is Ice is his caliber in teams, by my estimation. I think they're very well matched in teams and they can grow together long term. And Ice goes to enough American events at this point where they could actually grow together, right? To a reasonable basis. So
Yeah.
I'd love to see that team more.
And, we have to give one last shout out. Kudos to Plup and West Bowls for making it really close on Armada Android. I think, that went kind of under the radar. What if they won? I mean, they were
Club West Bowls went Game 5 against 2 really good teams, right? They had kind of a heartbreaker run. I also think that team could be a thing long term, right? When has West done that well? Like, he does well in teams lately. He's actually kind of underrated because we've said that a few times now. But it seems like him and Plump there's a little bit of synergy going there. Now,
they had good synergy.
yeah. So I kind of liked it. I kind of liked what they were doing together. It was hectic. They played like the hectic game.
Yeah, and they're both very fast, and they're both incredibly technical, and they win skirmishes, and that's like kind of their one of their strengths.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay, let's talk about Chill and Chew though. Chill and Chew, what the hell? I'm really sad that the other games came on the mainstream. I wish that Doubles Top 8 was streamed, like, more of it was streamed on the mainstream. We had to cut a few matches to the secondary one. Because I remember one time I think we had Plum West versus Mac the Ice. It was a Game 5 set happening at the same time as Mango Icebox versus Chill and Chew. I was
yeah,
like, there's just too much amazing going on right now.
it was yeah, it was nuts. I mean, it was nice for me because I sat in the middle, and as soon as something happened on one screen, I could just like turn my head like this, and if there was something going on the other one, I could just like go the other way.
Yeah, yeah.
So really good stuff. I mean, Chill and Chew was amazing. Also, like Manly Sons, Lovage and Johnny.
They made top 8. Lovage made the entire production team mad because he literally couldn't go to any of his commentary blocks because he was just too far in all of the tournaments, in singles and doubles. So I was going to have a commentary block with him, but he actually just made it too far. And that happened to everyone who was paired with Lovage. He just made it too far.
Yeah,
So it's that dormant skill, man, that he's just too good.
dude, Johnny. Lovage will say it too. Johnny flat out carried for the most part. They almost beat Chillin' and Chew, and we would have had a different story because Lovage and Johnny were up 2-0 and losers.
Really?
Yeah, and they beat them in winners actually.
That's
So they could
crazy.
have double eliminated Chill and Chew, but it's
That
pretty
was
good.
insane, man.
So anyway, shall we move on to singles?
Yeah, sure.
So floating, if it didn't die now, it certainly died at this point.
Yeah, R2D-Lu? What the hell?
Yeah, I mean, number one in Delaware, number 3 in Philadelphia, I believe.
There's something to be said for, Smash nowadays. Uh, it's kind of like being the best anywhere. Like, if you're the best in Delaware, you're probably winning some pretty big tournaments, right? Like, you're the best in.
I mean, the running joke. No offense to PB&J, but PB&J is number 2 in that region or state.
Okay, well, that is something. But what I mean to say is that he's at least winning stuff to earn that power ranking, right?
Yeah.
He's at least going stuff in, like, most regions, even if they're like Alabama, have decently sized tournaments nowadays, right? And many of those regions have been developing killers that we just don't see, right? And those guys won't necessarily always win, but they have more than a 0% chance of winning a set, right? And we'll see that sometimes, and we will see that sometimes. I do think some of that skill has flattened at that level, but I will still say that having said that, this is one of the greatest upsets of all time.
Yeah, I agree.
Arguably, what's the greatest upset of all time? Because this is like this might be
I mean, I
it.
can't think of a bigger upset this year. Can you?
Definitely not this year. I'm thinking all time. Like this
I mean,
thing
but
was.
I mean, if I'm setting a baseline, right, at the very minimum, it's probably the biggest. I mean, is this bigger or is K-On versus Nintendo bigger?
I think this is bigger.
I think this is bigger because Axe is top 10.
Axe is higher. Yeah, Axe is freaking ranked like 7th or 8th in the world, dude. So, I mean, Zayn beating Plup is crazy, but at least Zayn, like...
Zayn had a reputation, and he's beaten Nintendo, so he's at the very baseline capable of beating top 25 level players.
Yeah, Zayn beating Plup was crazy, but it was like... It was still unbelievable, but it wasn't to the level of, like... I don't know who Zayn is. I knew who Zayn was, I legit didn't know who R2D-Lu was. And we're talking about a guy who is the top 10 in the world in Axe, right?
Yeah.
And it's Fox versus Pika. Like, Foxes don't just beat Axe. That's not a thing, right? Be another thing, it was like, oh, a top 10 player in the world who's an Ice Climber lost to a Peach. You're like, oh, well, maybe he got peached out, right? But, sure, obviously, Fox Pika, I'm not saying is like bad for Fox necessarily, but rather that it takes a lot of experience to not lose to Axe. You have to know what to do against Pikachu. How the hell does this guy know what to do against Pikachu? Right? Why? How? How is he doing? How?
Apparently, he lost to like a random Boston Pikachu like not too long before that, which kind of adds like to the story and makes it even funnier.
So a random Boston Pikachu beats this guy, but Axe doesn't?
Yeah.
Like, that's ridiculous.
But to be fair, RTD has had some wins. He's beaten the Moon before, apparently.
That's a really big win.
That's a pretty good win as Fox, considering like he almost beat Mango. So
Yeah. I mean, Archidulu obviously amazing. He 2-0 J-Flex right after. J-Flex pretty solid. He beat Reno.
yeah.
So, obviously Archidulu isn't, like, bad.
Apparently, he studied Axe's or SStat's analysis video of beating Axe. So there you go. It adds to another point of how many resources there are for new players to just jump in. Apparently, that guy hated Pikachu, studied the SStat analysis video of him versus Axe, and just took it to town.
Did he really?
Yeah.
That was enough? He just looked at SVAT talking about Pikachu, and that's all it took to beat Axe? See, none of it adds up, man. I don't get it. None of it makes sense.
I mean,
obviously,
is this meta multi-level tournament conditioning? Because Hugs used SSAT's video of him versus Hugo to beat SFAT, right?
Yeah. Look, no matter how we justify it or how we think about it, like, oh, he's number one Delaware. Oh, he's...
It's still a big upset.
It's still, like, the biggest upset. Chat, I challenge you. What's a bigger upset all time? Like, I can't think of one.
Well, I mean, Evan Budding actually listed quite a few.
What is that Evan Budding list?
DSF versus Ken, the first time DSF won.
That was a big one. But DSF was at least ranked decently at that point.
DSF, that was DSF's third week playing.
Oh, crap.
Or Armada over Mewtwo at Genesis 1.
I don't think that's as big.
You don't think so? I mean, Mewtwo was like...
The best in Europe? The best in fucking Europe?
But
the best in Europe is not the same as best in Delaware.
Hobby versus PP?
No. Hobby was the best in Mexico. Like, look, I think... point is, it's up there.
It's up there.
The DSF Ken one, I have to remember that stuff. For some reason, it's lost in my memory banks. What tournament was that from?
Which one?
DSF Ken. When did that happen again?
It was the one where he just like mirrors off stage randomly, right?
I feel like I blocked that one out of my memory.
Okay, that's fair.
I legit don't remember this set.
All right, it's fair. It's a big upset. It's kind of funny because all five of our top 10 players almost lost in round 2 pools.
Envy versus Ice, that's a good one. When Envy beat Ice, that's one of the bigger ones all time.
What was it? Because somebody's saying dunk over chillin', dude. The time that Hugo beat Tafo this year.
Edwin believes that Armada Mewtwo King. Look, I agree that Armada was very underrated by the American crowd, but he wasn't underrated by the European crowd who actually knew what they were talking about. Obviously, you know, that doesn't like. There's no world where the best of Europe is just not going to make it out of pools. Like,
actually, how do we rank YCZ over Koval?
That's up there.
And that's actually even the crazy thing is it's like the matchup thing amplifies this, right? Because Koval doesn't lose to Samus. Like, how many times does he lose to... I mean, he lost to Duck once this year, I think. But how many... Like, it's a very lopsided matchup for Koval against Duck and Koval versus Hugo.
Yeah. That doesn't make sense. How did Koval lose to YCC?
And then YCC6, it's like 4 stock by Principe, like right after.
Has R2D beat Stango? Stango's like the Pennsylvania player. Like, apparently not. I don't think. Like, what's going on, man? I don't know. Really, really bad result for Axe. It will be reflected in his ranking.
Will it though? I mean, how much did he drop? Considering that like Flop lost to Zane and West lost in numbers.
Yeah, his competition went down. That's true. But we have to start thinking maybe.
Do Shroomed and Swedish jump them at some point?
How high are we on Pew Pew now? On his second half of the year?
Wait, who?
Pew Pew. And S2J. Are we thinking about those
I mean,
guys?
like, S2J didn't... I mean, he didn't have a bracket run this time, so, I mean...
He had a horrible bracket.
So, I mean, he didn't have enough of a run to say, like, yeah, like, he deserves to move up. Like, he didn't beat anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, the interesting thing is, like, when you begin to think that, yeah,
But
S2J, you could talk about it, but, like, what about, like, people like Wizzy, Swedish, and Shroomed?
And Ice. And Ice.
And Ice, too, yeah.
Like, I don't know. Ice is, like, then again, we have to talk about Ice did lose to Envy. That was this year, right?
No, that was tipped off end of last year.
Oh, that was end of last year. You're right. So it was barely not this year. Like, Ice, it's just now coming together, you know? Like, so his year-long results don't match Wizro's, right?
How high do we put Swedish?
He beat Shroomed, and he took Hunger Box in Game 5. So, he lost Armada. He lost Armada and Hunger Box. It was very, very, like...
He lost to Armada and Hungry Box for 9th place. Like,
he technically beat Leffen and Shroom. That happened. So Leffen was weird.
I mean, Swedish has pretty much performed at every event this summer that he's gone to. Granted, his attendance isn't as good as like most other people. I mean, I don't know, man.
Yeah. I think those. The point is, so Plupp's spot obviously isn't up for grabs. He had a bad tournament, but his year is very good. I think the argument of SFAT over Plupp is you can make it very strongly now, obviously, if you wanted to. Do you want to, Tafo? Do you think SFAT is and Plupp, like, who's better?
So, I mean, if we were to kind of look at it relatively speaking, right, but prior to Big House, we even spelled it, right? It said, what does SFAT have to do to jump Plupp? And we pretty much said, like, if SFAT beats a god, which he did, and greatly outplaces Plupp, then we should put him up. And both of those things happened.
Right. That's literally what we said. So if we were to hold to our own standards, I think...
Yeah, I mean, literally both things happened.
Yeah.
And so...
I mean, I think Plupp messing around with Fox at Shine, and now here he lost to Zayn. His Evo run was great, but it could only carry him for so long. SFAT's been posting some results.
I mean, if you really look at it, 5th at Big House, 2nd at Shine, 5th at SmashCon, 2nd at Clutch City Clash, and 3 Mango wins, 2 Hungry Box wins.
It's pretty good.
I think,
and taking Michi to Game 5, like, it's getting there.
I mean, granted, Plupp has 1 Muti King win, 1 Hungry Box win, and like a Muti King win at a local, although he ended up losing 1-2. Hungry Box win at Evo, but he ended up losing in a Mango win, but then Mango got the run back. So,
I think it's close. I think it's super close still.
Let's say this. I'm not sure who I'd give the higher ranking for the year overall.
For the year, it's still Plupp. For the year, it's definitely still Plupp. We're talking about power.
But if I'm seeding him for Summit, I'm giving it to him over Plupp. I don't think
that's
any justification right now.
I think basically that's correct. I think if you're power ranking it, if you're doing seeding, you take SFAT. If you're talking for the year, it's still definitely Plupp. Now, SFAT could still overtake him for the year because there's enough of S left. But for the year, it's definitely Plupp.
I mean, if SFAT like does better than him for the rest of the year, then that's essentially like 5 months where he'd have outperformed Plupp. Granted, I don't think that's not easy to do.
And those other months weren't definitive. Like they weren't bad either, right?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I would. I think I think that's a good conclusion to have. I wouldn't be surprised if Plup though does bounces back. Like it doesn't seem like a skill problem. It's weird to say because he did lose to Zayn, but my heart tells me that's an aberration.
And Meekness in the chat is like sarcastically saying like, "Oh yeah, I don't value third place at Evo." Just to give context, like brackets matter. I think third place for Plup is really good, but third place last year for PP when we were saying that he's a top 5 player, and given what he did at that tournament was like nothing.
Nothing. Which he did nothing actually.
Like PP did nothing last year at Evo. He barely beat Hugs. He beat Whoopty-Doo. He beat Plup, who didn't have his controller, and that's it.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's just to explain that. Let's see. So yeah, it's close. I mean, what else can we talk about on day 2? Otto, welcome back.
Oh yeah, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. That's the main song. I love that song.
I mean, the story
yes.
with him, I think Mango put it pretty well. And he was like, yeah, like people who've been around know Otto's good, but like he's doing other stuff.
Yeah.
So
anyone who knows anything about Melee knows that Silent Wolf is the truth. And he beat Michigan. What the hell? Now Michigan made it all the way back, so it's kind of nuts that Michigan did all that. But big shout outs to him, man.
Yeah, I mean, so he, definitely stood out. Ice, clearly, granted, like brackets do matter, and I don't think we would have ever imagined Leffen, Hungrybox, and Muta King all bustering out of the one side of the bracket, right?
This was one of the weirdest tournaments I've ever seen. I did not I don't think I've seen a bracket where so many heavily favored people were heading to losers that early. And you know what? Salo, it wasn't just the Muting win. He also beat SUJ also. And I really thought SUJ was due for a run because of how he did in Cruise, right? And I think he actually played rather well. I really do think deep in SJ's heart there was a top 8 run inside him, right? He just got Silent Wolf and Plup back to back, and that's rough. And Silent Wolf who went on to beat Muchiki, so it was a very, very good Silent Wolf.
So Silent Wolf.
Other results, Rudolph.
Rudolph, he almost beat Ice. I mean, what a bizarre world where we could have seen like one side of the bracket as like, when did they play? I'm gonna have to look that up.
They played before Ice played Natsu. So Ice, by all accounts, should have lost that match. He came back hardcore, and won 2-1. And this is after Rudolph had already beaten Dragon Fox. And then Rudolph would have then played Gatsu, who I think would have been a very tough opponent for him. I don't actually think Rudolph would have beat Gatsu because Rudolph, I don't know if he could beat him Marth Falcon. And if Rudolph went Fox, I think he'd also lose.
I think Rudolph would have, his run would have probably ended at Gatsu, but that would have been, what, 17th?
Yeah, that would have been very good. And that's in winners, by the way. So
yeah.
So he would have gone farther because of it. If he somehow had beat Gatsu, he would have played Silent Wolf, which, who knows, right? He's going against Fox, clearly. And then SFAT. So it's
in an alternate universe, Gatsu got 5th.
It's crazy, right?
In an alternate universe, I would have been Zayn, and in Plup would have
gone. In an alternate universe, Rudolph gets 5th.
Yeah.
It's possible.
What else? KK, welcome back to KK.
Yeah, dude, KK's nuts. He's a freaking nutcase.
He
beat R2 Dilu, so that's a hard one, right? And Zoo.
It's not as hard as, Axe.
Well, R2 Dilu has a few things to say about that. He beat Shroom. Shroom had a very bad tournament. on the whole. He just lost pretty much. He beats Plup, which is, I guess, very good.
I mean, it's
Um,
plus Fox though.
yes, it's kind of weird,
Plus
right?
Fox is still good. It's like still probably top 15.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. I mean, we kind of thought that Shroom, was a good candidate for like what top 8, top ninth at least.
He's shrewd. He's a candidate for top 8 every time.
Yeah, he ended up getting
Another,
swept by Swedish.
this bracket's crazy. I mean, we gotta talk about Mac D, guy who hasn't lost Ice Climbers in his career for like the first like 6 or 7 years of his career, and then he had
I
double.
mean, do we count infinite numbers?
Not really. That was a weird tournament. Like that pound maybe was the first sign of cracks, but Mac D was going through some very
I mean, now that there's
tough,
all that, yeah,
tough personal stuff there, right?
yeah.
Like this is a weird tournament for him. Like, he wasn't really in it. This time it's like he lost to Disc Kid and he lost to who's gonna win? Infinite Numbers, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know, man. That's crazy. Mac D. Oh, excuse me, he lost to Shrew. So he lost to Disc Kid and Loser. So now it's both Infinite Numbers and Disc Kid who have beaten Mac D.
And then who else stood out? Wes, overcame two Sheiks, which was like pretty impressive. He made a
But
pretty
what?
decent run.
Yeah, I mean, decent for going to losers early. I was worried for him. He lost to Infinite Numbers. That's the one I mixed up. He lost to Infinite Numbers and went to losers early. And then, I mean, he had a bracket of Face Roll, Laudandus, Abu, and I'm just like, dude, that's too many characters he's not good against. But he actually beat them all. Barely. He 2-1 Face Roll, and he 3-2 Abu. But he actually beat them all. So good for him. He made a little bit of a run until he faced Music King.
Yeah. Let's see. And then Mafia, definitely did pretty well for himself. Smuckers was like his kryptonite in his like in that area, New England tri-state area. Beats him, 2-0's KGH, and almost beats Lucky.
Nice for him. Taj beats Cobalt with Mewtwo
Rip Coble, you suck at this event.
at this event. People just gotta realize Taj has been doing that to people since the dawn of time. Anyone who ever states that anyone else is a better Mewtwo than Taj, until that person posts some extraordinary results, needs to take a step back. And look at Taj's resume as Mewtwo and how many amazing wins he has as that character, right? Taj is crazy. Taj is nuts.
Anything else? I mean, Chillin, top 16, beat none.
Chillin is chilling out place. Mike Hayes hugs and left him. So
Damn, I mean, good stuff to him, man.
it's kind of the diss tracks they work, man. He 3-0'd Nintendo. 3-0 clean.
Yeah. Even Mango didn't 3-0 Nintendo this time.
Nintendo could have won that set.
He could have. I mean, it was very sloppy. And, speaking of sloppiness, I mean, from the Moon, I mean, not saying the Moon plays sloppy, but, like, this guy has been quietly really good for, I would like to say, since, like, Gommel, which is now roughly the 5-6 month mark.
He destroyed Zane. Zane had no chance.
Zane had no chance. Poor Zane, he got, like, whooped by, like, the Marthmans, the veterans.
Yeah, he got definitely better marked.
Yeah.
He got some slicing.
The veterans, they knew how to get the foul calls. They knew where they could push and shove. Like, they just bullied the hell out of Zane.
Yeah, so yeah, Zane, great run regardless because he beat both KJH and Plup, but the Moon just murdered him. And Moon also beat Lucky really bad too. So
Yeah.
I don't know what to make of Lucky right now. Going into Blood for Blood, like he's pretty much got to post a really good performance there because he hasn't done anything in a while. It's been a minute.
I had to advocate on the SoCal PR panel that, like, Johnny has been performing a lot better than Lucky.
That's actually true. That's basically fact right now. Right? Like, SUJ is currently performing better than Lucky. That's just the truth. SUJ's been performing very well.
Even though Lucky, ironically, outplaced him.
I mean, you can make a good, not a great, but at least an argument of SJ over West, even. You know? Sure, he doesn't win the head-to-head, but Nationals results, Johnny's doing pretty well.
It's been pretty well. I mean, that's a little bit. I think that's a little bit much for me. That'd take a lot of convincing. I don't quite see it yet, but like.
I agree.
Like,
but I'm saying
is kind of argue it is shows how much Johnny has done well for himself.
Yeah, I agree. So, yeah. So Lucky's run not ultra impressive. I think he needs to do well this weekend to make up for it. But yeah, man, it's crazy event. Like I actually like you look at that bracket and it's freaking nuts. Just to touch on Rudolph for a moment, how good do you think he is?
I mean, you kind of try to call me out on SSBM rank last year, but we did rank him last year.
Is he in top 100?
He was, but he wasn't as good last year.
But he was in top 100.
He was.
So why is he not in the summon voting?
Because he wasn't in the top 50.
Oh.
And I think.
Well, I don't know if he's a top 50 player now.
Yeah.
If he's close, he might be top 50, right?
I mean, any his deltas is like he could be as high as debatably like 25, like on the high end, and like as low as like 70.
He's not 25, right?
I mean, if you're gonna go like ridiculous, like speculative.
25 is like what, like Nintendo now?
But that's like ridiculous speculative, right?
Yeah.
That's like the extreme view of speculation. Because you eat Drug Fox, right? The other end is
where's Drug Fox? Where's? Do you see the Leffen tweet, the Savage one?
What did he say?
Oh, I don't want to do Drug Fox like that, but
okay.
Leffen said some choice words.
Well, I mean, in an alternate universe, Rudolph beats Ice, right? And that's pretty nuts.
Yeah.
So I'd say, I don't know, more realistically, probably in between like 35 and like 60.
35 and 60. That's a big range though. Make a statement.
I mean, we don't have how many data points we have. He lost to Android. He beat Drug Fox. Had a close set with Ice.
Mm-hmm.
He had a close set with O'Reilly.
Yeah, it's hard to say, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, that tweet is old, guys, but I think it's actually more appropriate now than it's ever been.
That's so funny. I think I remember the tweet now.
The tweet was Drag Fox didn't like being a top player, didn't like top player privilege so much that he's just stopped being a top player. Yeah. I'm like, oh
man,
because where is he now, dude? Is Drug Fox a top 50 player to you right now?
Wait, what?
That's a genuine question.
No, I mean Drug Fox is being lucky. He's being Ice. He has a lot of wins this summer. He goes under the radar, man.
Where do you have him then? I feel like if you listen,
I have him around like 25 to 30.
25 to 30?
He has a lot of good wins.
All right. I was saying the top 50 thing is a drastic thing. I probably have him somewhere closer to 30 to 35, 30 to 40, somewhere like that. I think 25 to 30 is nuts. I think if you list it out, the 25 to 30, I'd be shocked if he makes it.
I think he's 25 to 30.
Well, then you have to list it out. Because there's guys like Moon who you have to fit in. You have to fit in...
The Moon would fit in a top 25 right now.
I know, but then you have to push people out that were in the top 25 before.
We can kick Diskit Boogie out.
Do you think Diskit has done more this year or Drug Fox?
I mean, this kid hasn't... There's a weird double standard going on with Ice Climbers, which kind of pisses me off when people are like ranking players, is that for some reason, every other player that gets majorly upset, it's like, oh, bam, let's move them down 10 ranks. With Ice Climbers... Here's the thing.
Isn't top 30, is it 30 to 40 closer to like Professor Pro player level?
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Drug Fox got 13th at EVO.
look at that bracket. But
like with the Ice Climbers, when they lose to a Peach, they're like, no, that's okay. I don't care if it's Azusa, who's probably like top 60, or Laud. It's a Peach, so we're going to disregard every loss to Peach. But if any other player loses to that kind of caliber player, we're going to punish them like crazy.
Who is better?
That's one thing I don't like about
who is better
some of the
to
rankings.
you? Eye test, Professor Pro or Drug Fox?
What was that?
Who is better to you, Professor Pro or Drug Fox?
What has Professor Pro done this year? Who's he been?
I said eye test.
Drug Fox easily.
Interesting.
Because Drug Fox beat Lucky, he's beaten Ice, he beat Colville, he split sets with Colville recently at Smash House.
You're turning me around on this. You're convincing me.
Like, the thing is, it's like, I think Professor Pro is very good. Don't get me wrong. Like, I respect him very much, and I play him, and I think he's great. But Drug Fox has wins, and Professor Pro really doesn't.
All right.
So
You're turning me around. As their flame test, has Blur even seen Drug Fox's results? Yes. But I have to admit, the losses are sticking out to me much harder than the wins are.
I mean, who else has he really lost to?
There are wins. There are wins.
Yeah, I'm just kind of scanning his brackets. He had a pretty good Evo run. He had a good CEO run. I mean, he beat Lucky, and Foxidos is pretty good. And then he got ninth at What the Fox. Didn't really beat anyone. Lost a close set to Duck. Whack. Let's see. How did he get ninth at CEO again? Kind of scanning through. Who did Drug Foxes beat?
I guess there's a reason why the tennis ranking.
Oh, Drug Fox also beat Swedish at CEO too.
All right.
Yeah. I don't think it's... I mean, on paper, in my head, initially, I was like, kind of like, oh, what has Drug Fox done? Is he compared to Professor Pro? That was like an initial thought I had too, to be fair. And then I looked at the results, I'm like, yeah, clearly, like, Drug Fox is probably a tier, like, easily a tier higher, at least.
I'm turning around. Again, I think I agree with you now.
Yeah.
I just think that, again, there's some lasting impression to, like, his Battle of the Five Gods performance, where he, like, beat no one, almost, right? Or, you know, in Pound where he got 25th, or Gobble where he got 25th. Like, those things stick out to me. Though, if you look at, like, the last, since CEO, it's not that bad. Though he did just lose to Rudolph. I mean, he did get 25th at the Big House. But it's not so bad, I suppose.
Yeah.
He beat Mike Hayes this tournament. And tied. Then lost to the Woods Rope and lost to Rudolph. So
Yeah. Let's see. What else in singles? I guess we could talk about interesting stuff. It's kind of ironic that or coincidental H-Box. I think H-Box had a tipping point moment, and he pretty much, we can pinpoint it exactly to his set with SFAT.
Drug Fox lost to Ryan Ford Stock. They can't be right, Solomon Drake, right?
What was that?
Drug Fox lost to Ryan Ford Stock. That can't be true.
I have no idea, man.
What's he talking about? Yeah, he did, at Drug Battle 5 Gods, he beat MacD. That's true. That's good. Anyway, continue. You were saying
SFAT $100, probably one of the interesting stories of the event. Did you get to watch the set? Did you commentate it? Where were you when SFAT 3-0'd $100?
Where was I? I think I was getting my hair cut.
Wait, you were getting a haircut?
Yeah, if you watch day 1 and 2, my hair was long, and then my hair was short on day 3.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you were getting a haircut.
Yep.
Okay, no wonder why your hair looked different that night.
Basically getting a haircut. So basically, you guys are curious. What happened was, I had a commentary block from 10 to 12. I had that. And I was like, you know what? There's a haircuttery. So last year, me and Atrioc, right? Atrioc randomly said, "Hey Blur, I'm gonna go get a haircut," right? I
I
think he
can
said.
actually picture him saying that.
I feel like he said that. Did we do this together, me and Atrioc? I don't really remember. Regardless, I got a haircut last year at Big House, and I actually did it before my pool because I entered that year, and so that the haircut took a while, and I had to run back all across the from the mall to the venue because Joe guy, you never know with that guy, right? He'll just cut me right, even though after all I've done, he'll still do it. This year I decided to repeat the tradition. I was like, I'm going to Big House is where I get haircuts. So I went to get a haircut, and I was short on time, but I passed by a store like while I was in the mall, and it had a suit, so I just bought a suit, and I had like no time because I was about to do double stop 8. I literally, guys, I bought that suit probably less than 5 minutes before you guys saw it on camera.
Dude, how much did you pay for it?
I'm gonna leave that up to the imaginations of the people at home. I think there's some
I'm gonna
things
guess
that
you paid like $6.50.
my idea was I basically walked by because the store was like a like a
Oh, you went to the mall. Okay, I'm gonna
yeah
guess.
the store it was like a pip suit store almost. It felt like they had hella colors. It was really funny. I thought it'd be funny if I just went and did that, and it was really funny. I don't think the undershirt was great, but whatever. That's not the point. The point is that then I had to run back in my fucking suit to make it for double top 8, and then that's where I was during SFAT versus.
Dude, I can imagine like if Scar was your partner for that block, even though he wasn't.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Scar's voice? Blur.
Yeah.
Anyway, good stuff.
So
You know,
it was just funny. I mostly did it because I thought it'd be very funny.
it was a very expensive laugh, but I gotta say you pulled it off somehow, even though you violated a lot of fashion rules on it.
Dude, I look good.
You look
I
good.
know.
I think only you could pull it off, and I think that's what
That's the
everybody
key.
concluded.
That's the key. It's only I can pull it off. That's what's sick. Anyway, SFAT versus Huggerbox.
Yeah. Don't know, man. It was a
He got bodied. It was bad. Can we just talk about Huggerbox for a second?
for what?
Can we talk about Huggerbox for a second?
Yeah, let's do it.
So I read between the lines at Big House, and so I felt like I could dial into his emotions a little bit, and I kind of saw where he was mentally, especially after losing SFAT. I think my impression from Huggerbox was that was a very tired man. You know, he just looked like a guy who just worked 4 days, 5 days of his work week,
Has a crying baby at home.
has a crying baby at home, kind of hates his life because he's stuck in, I think he's in Alabama somewhere,
Working the double shift.
working the double shift, and he's watching these guys who he's playing who are full-time melee now, and they're beating him, and he's like, dude, it doesn't feel good. I don't feel like my full potential is being unleashed because I have all these restrictions. And I think a lot of that stuff got to his head, and I really do think that's ultimately where his lack of enthusiasm came from, because if you watched his stream recently, he mentioned that Big House is exactly when he ran out of vacation days, Like he did not have any more vacation days for the year, so he had a lot of pressure on himself to do well at Big House because it was likely going to be his last tournament of the year, right? Because he had no more vacation days, unless he was going to 1 or 2 day events for the weekend. So with that in mind, like with him playing badly and he felt it, how depressing must that be to know that you have the rest of the year left and you can't go to any more tournaments, you can't really compete. This is it, right? This is it. And you have put a lot of pressure on yourself. You feel like you're not really fully invested because you're trying to juggle priorities, and maybe I'm reading into it too much, but I don't think I am. I think that genuinely what was going through his mind. I don't feel like he felt like as a competitor, it feels really good to know that uh, not only is your opponent giving you their best shot, but you're giving your opponent your best shot, right? Like when I am not in practice and I lose a set, I don't feel anything, right? I don't like. I'm like, oh, of course I lost. I deserve to lose. I'm not in practice, right? And I think in many ways, it's why he didn't really look sad. He looked like more dejected, right? He looked like he wasn't there. And I think I've felt those same emotions before, and maybe I'm reading into it, but I think that he probably was feeling the same way, right? He's feeling like I'm not giving. He didn't feel like he was giving his best chance to win because he has no one to play against. He's in middle of nowhere, Alabama. He's been busy with work, and even after an amazing, amazing summer, and where he felt like he finally reached his true form, he's being held back by all this other stuff that are frankly distractions from his professional Smash life, which is what he actually cares about.
I agree. I mean, yeah, I don't know how else I can say it other than like I just totally agree with what you were thinking, and I totally thought the same way.
Yeah, I mean, I knowing HBox and reading between those lines, I'm fairly sure that my analysis is basically just right. So on that front, now that it's been announced that Hungrybox is going full time, I think this is going to be really good for him because at the very least it'll take the mental monkey off his back because he'll know that, hey, I'm right there with everyone else. He's probably going to move back to Florida, is my assumption. And he'll get practice again. He'll have all the resources. He'll use, Cap and Crunch to get himself better. He'll get in a better mood. He'll start hanging out with his family, his girlfriend, all that. Like, I think we might see a resurgence because I do think a lot of those factors, factually matter, and it's not just stuff he's saying. I think they're also true. I don't think they're just John's. I think it's also true.
I totally agree with you. It's still going to be interesting to me because the way that SFAT played that means that I think Hungrybox has still a lot to solve about the Puff Fox matchup. I'm not saying it's not. I don't think it's impossible, and I don't think I don't think it's far from over when they play again. But it does show that Hungrybox still has a lot to work on, even though he's been working with Crunch on the matchup specifically for a long time.
Yeah, yeah. So I expect to bounce back. At least I do. I think that it's right in time because this performance, really bad, but he has just enough time and he has such good results for the rest of the year that if he closes the year out right, he will be ranked number one, right?
I mean, I think right now, even then, the discussion is who's number one for the year, and I would still put Hungrybox. It's close.
Even right now, he might still have the case, right? So I think again, like I said though, if it had been going, if it went like it was going, like if he still had to be juggling stuff, and if he didn't post any more results, and Mango and Armada had just clocked in a few more on their resumes, then he probably would have lost the lead, right? He might have lost that first place spot. And I think he justifiably cares about that a lot. He's never been ranked number one in the world, right?
Yeah.
So he wants to go for it. This is the closest he's ever been to being known as the best smasher in the world. And if he's going to go for it, it's got to be now.
Yeah. And we still have a lot of events. I mean, in prior years, Big House is pretty much it. I mean, if we really consider it in the past years, right?
Yeah.
Other events. I mean, last year there was DreamHack, and there's nothing else much more. So yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of events, and there's still a lot of time for. I think honestly, the only three in contention, reasonable contention, are Mango, Armada, Hungrybox.
It's the only ones that will really move the needle, correct?
Yeah, unless by some miracle of God something happens with Leffen or.
It would take some crazy miracle.
They would. I mean, if they won out, right?
If they won out.
But statistically, very improbable.
Yeah.
So, interesting stuff for them. A lot of events up ahead. Top 8, Mango Armada So I think what was funny was that by Hungrybox losing and Armada knowing that he lost, or that Hungrybox lost, it made Armada's decision very clear to go Peach.
Oh yeah, but I don't think I would hope that that wasn't much of a decision at all.
I mean, that's a temptation, right? Like, if you have to warm up Fox, then, like, you might have to, like, get Fox up quickly, and you might have to make a gamble somewhere.
Yeah. Uh, Hugbox made it really easy for him. It was crazy to see the crowd almost bring him back in
Yeah.
into it, but he gave away 2 games too early to really
Yeah.
catch back up.
And so I think, we'll talk about SFAT Ice in a little bit, but I think the most impressive thing, and, call me Mango fanboy, is that I've never seen Mango persevere that hard in my entire life, especially in winter semis.
Oh, when he was down 0-2?
Yeah, I mean, have you ever seen like that kind of mental fortitude from him, like ever?
Oh, it's hard for me to say no because he's done so many crazy losers runs. But it's
But
harder for me to say
against
yes
like,
because
but
yeah.
even in sets against Armada, like the sets that he wins, it's usually because he started off strong and he kind of carried it just enough before like Armada's game started readapting to Mango.
Maybe. I think Genesis 1 was a really scary moment.
Yeah,
When he lost the first set and like Armada was kind of beating down Falco and like he went to Puff and it was kind of getting rough and he had
I
to get
mean,
those
yeah,
rests. That was pretty high mental fortitude, I would say.
I mean, but that was like 7 years ago,
Sure. It's
so
still Mango though.
it
Same
is.
person. Same
But I
person from.
don't recall like anything like in a while where like, didn't you feel like the set was over by like game after like by the middle of game two?
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be 3-0. I actually said it because on the analyst sets we had to like pick out clips for our next talking point.
Yeah.
And we had to like scramble to find more clips because we had to be live soon because I assumed it was going to be a 3-0, but he actually ended up having more matches.
So that was interesting, definitely. And he won FD as Fox, which I don't think I can ever recall it happening in Fox Peach.
Yeah,
Like,
that's surprising he didn't go Marth, right?
I talked to him. He said he only likes playing Marth if he's been playing a lot of melee, because then he could just plug and play Marth. But he didn't feel comfortable with the movement to play
That's
Marth.
interesting. That's interesting.
So he had his heart set even before the tournament started to say I'm going to go Fox against Armada.
Yeah.
Other side of the bracket, SFAT Ice. I mean, you were on the desk, so what were your like? What was your gut impression as that kind of set happened? If you could
Like
remember.
I said earlier, I think Ice is absurd. He's a ridiculous. I don't know if he's going to repeat this because I just don't see anyone being that technically proficient over the course of a year. But this event, he was ridiculously sharp. His mental game was ridiculously sharp, and he rolled through SFAT like SFAT wasn't even there.
Yeah, looks like a computer pretty much.
Yeah, it was just too. It looked so easy for him. It looked like effortless.
And like SFAT dropped every punish too. If I were to like say like, I mean,
Uh,
Ice even if
Dig
SFAT played better and got the punishes, I don't think he would have won with how good Ice was playing.
Dagon says that was some hacks versus Nintendo level stuff. Yeah, dude. Uh, you know, it's funny. It's funny how that works, right? Because when hacks beat Nintendo, everyone's like, "Oh, Fox IC is so bad," right? Like they automatically assume for the matchup.
Yeah,
But you see a Fox lose, and it's like it's not even there. I feel like people confirmation bias against lower tier characters when a player of that character gets beat really badly, really quickly, right?
yeah.
When actually Nintendo played horrifically bad that set. Like it was actually comically bad that set. Um, but yeah, he got beat down.
So good stuff to Ice. I mean, I think that particular. I think for me, it's kind of funny. Like it almost felt like full circle for me that had to play SFAT out of all people because remember Genesis 3 at the beginning of the year where Ice honestly played like his worst set like I ever seen in his life, and I just was like, well, this is Ice on stream. Like I don't think he might not be that type of player that kind of puts it together on the grand stage. And lo and behold, he's the one that was just running train.
Yeah. So I mean, Ice is crazy, man. There was a moment there I was like, is this guy going to win the tournament? He looks way too good. Like if you play like that, you can win any tournament. I just think that he was missing some matchup knowledge against Falco
Oh
in
man,
particular.
that was really bad.
To like, even if you're basically doing everything you want to do, if you just don't know what to do, you can't do anything. And he clearly just didn't know what to do against Falco. Like he just doesn't know.
I felt so
Uh,
bad for him because he looked like a very scared whatever
yeah, he's a
analogy you
scared
want to give.
fox. Scared fox, man. He just like was running around being like, "How do I hit this character? Lasers, lasers."
It was like a chicken without like a head. I think is like the best analogy I
Yeah,
can give.
his movement's crazy good in general, but against Falco, he can't have that. He has to like do different types of movement. Like he's just not pretty. His game against Falco, and I think that took the win out of his sails. Now I don't think he could have beat Armada either, but even in winners, but it did stifle his momentum where he realized, oh crap, I could be doing everything I want to do, but I just don't know what to do
That's
against Mango.
that's literally like kind of the levels of melee in a nutshell.
Yeah, so Mango is very difficult.
Dude, it was so funny. Mango was so relieved when he found out he had to play ice. It's like, man, like he doesn't know how to play against Falcon. If I just play this certain style, like he won't know what to do against it. And lo and behold, he was totally right.
Oh yeah, yeah. So Ice has a big Falco problem.
Yeah. But to be fair,
Um,
he talked about it with Scar over on the interview. Like,
I don't think he knows Peach either. It's like both of his losses were just pure matchup deficiency, which that makes sense. I mean, he's in Germany. He's
yeah.
with
I
Falco's.
like. I remember the last time Ice played MacD, it was so grossly ice-sided that like maybe it's just an Armada thing. Maybe
Yeah, maybe Armand's just godlike.
Armada's just really good, man.
Yeah, so
Armada's out of control.
that has something to do with it.
And then losers bracket. Honestly, the first two losers bracket were pretty much not that exciting. PP versus Hungry Bucks and Mewtwo King versus Wizzy. Those were grossly like one-sided.
PPU Huggerbucks was exciting until Dreamland, and where PPU literally just got whittled down and his hope, like he got pushed to a point of despair.
Yeah.
Where it's like PPU tried so hard on Dreamland, but it's almost like he tried too hard. You
Ran out
know,
of juice.
dude. Both Armada and Mewtwo King, in the Armada Mewtwo King set and in the PPU Hungrybox set, they made Marthritis look so bad on Dreamland. Where Pew Pew just hit him 3 billion times. It just didn't matter, man. I don't think Marthritis is quite as bad as that showed. I think that you got to figure out a way to find your kill moves, and more importantly, you got to know how to finish stocks like efficiently, and that wasn't necessarily there. But still, like it kills you mentally, like to play like that, to play in that situation.
So
And
how many times in your head were you wondering like Pew Pew just take the hit and kill him on
like
the rollout?
every rollout time, I was like, why don't you just dash off the stage? Like it's I don't know why people don't know about it. I've actually won 2 separate tournament sets from that. It's like it's genuinely just for whatever reason Puffs rollout. They think they can win like that. There's 2 separate tournament sets where I've clutched out a win because of taking the hit. You
Yeah.
just take the hit. Hashtag take the hit.
You can also do Falcon side B too. Just like go out there. If they see side B, I'm like, oh, I'll take it.
Yeah, just take the hit.
Easy.
So yeah, I mean, I actually think if he had done that, he might have,
And let's
he
see.
would definitely done better.
Mewtwo King SFAT was an interesting set.
Music SFAT, yeah, Game 5, man. And SFAT won a game on FD, so when he won the game on FD, I thought he was actually going to win the set. He lost on Dreamland.
Yeah, I mean, it's a story. Like, it's I don't know like the exact splits or the scenarios, but I feel like SFAT always goes up 2-1 and then loses. I feel like that's like the SFAT special.
It is SFAT special.
To win
Uh,
both game to win be up 2-1, including a game on FD and then lose the set.
by the way, Music is chain grabs until he got that 1-0 to death, which was very, very pretty with the double weak up airs. Really poor. Like, not great chain grabbing. It felt like he got momentum once he started getting decent combo game, and then he just carried into Dreamland.
Yeah.
You know?
And then what was it Armada H-Box? That was a bizarre set. Felt like Hungrybox was just mentally not in it. And then you just mentioned like, oh hey, like somehow the crowd like reinvigorated him.
Yeah, the crowd almost brought him back in, but it was too late.
And then it was really funny because I feel like you could pinpoint the exact moment in Losers Quarters, I believe, between Muta King and Armada, where like Muta King just kind of broke. Do you know what point that I'm thinking about?
Probably Dreamland.
It was that moment where Muta King tried to up throw Peach at 250, and then Peach didn't die.
Yeah, that'll do it. That'll make you want to kill yourself.
I feel like he mentally snapped and stopped playing his game after like that happened.
Yeah. So
It's gonna be interesting. Are you gonna be coaching Muta King for Summit?
I mean, probably not. I mean, I don't see why I would.
I mean, you did it for the last Summit.
Yeah, but I did it out of boredom. We happened to be in the hotel lobby at the same time, and for whatever reason I stayed up until like 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. or whatever it was, talking to him about Martha's Peach and analyzing matches. Like, I don't know
It was
why.
kind of it was so
Why
funny.
would I do that again?
It was so funny how you got 0 credit for that.
I don't know if it actually made a difference. I think it's very interesting that it's the only one he won, but I don't know how much of a difference.
I mean, positionally, he played that phenomenally at Summit.
Yeah.
Like things that I've never seen him do in terms of patience and perseverance. I've never seen him do that like, in any other set.
Yeah.
But that's just me. I could be biased, so go figure. It'd be interesting though to see. You could be the science. You could literally be the science experiment right now.
I could try. I have a feeling it wasn't me. I think it was Jason's amazing. And I happened to maybe point one or two things out that he did use like all of it. That's the one thing I will say is that watching that set was like watching what we were talking about. So he used all of it, but I don't know. I don't want to take any credit away from him.
All right. Well, that's fair. It's just that there's a science experiment at hand here that you could actually be the test variable.
Dweb says, Blur literally on commentary tried to reject the credit. That's what I did the whole time. And everyone still tries to give it to me.
I mean, because you're one of the variables.
I am the only variable.
So
It's true.
there's that. So
I mean, why do I want him to win over Armada? Like why like what's
because you want to see Muta King be happy.
I want to see Armada be happy too. Like
No, that's true.
I like everybody. I don't have no bias in this race. I have no horse in this race. For me to sit there and do that for like 5 hours with my life, I got stuff to do.
Damn. Okay, well that's fair. No pressure to you.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else were in my thoughts? And then, let's see. Losers finals, not very memorable in my view. I mean, Ice had that one moment, but I never was under the impression that Ice was going to win. Did you?
Yeah, no, not really, no.
And then grand finals, what did you think of that?
So sick. Everyone in chat saying do it for Marth. I'll think about it.
Yeah.
If Jason wants it, if he doesn't want it, then no. But
They're disrespecting you. You're the Don. Like, they can't just demand things from you like that.
that's what I'm saying, right? That's the point of being the Don. You kiss the ring. You kiss the CRT.
You kiss the CRT.
Kiss the CRT.
That'd be funny if you made it like a hashtag and you had people like kissing the CRT.
Hashtag kiss the CRT. That's good. Anyway, grand finals, freaking nuts. One of the better grand finals we've ever had. We've had now absurd grand finals at Genesis, Big House, and Gommel, and Evo. All four of, I'd say, probably the four most important events of this year, right?
Yeah, I mean, when I think about, like, when I do the SSBM rank and I put what 4 tournaments I want to put for the players, it's definitely those.
Right. And all four of them were absurd, right? Like, it's crazy how lucky we got in that sense.
Yep, Joe guy's smiling because he felt like he got cheated. He ran like a really good event at Big House 5, and the viewership dropped as Grand Finals happened.
Oh, right. Well, poor Rob.
Poor Robin.
Sometimes you can't control that.
He got the Grand Finals he wanted.
Yeah.
It was part of the script.
Armada, Mango, always a classic. Felt pretty much back and forth. You did mention something I mentioned on the analyst desk, which is that Mango just calls out when Armada's going to do stuff out of shield and up smashes. And somehow that's...
You know how ballsy that is?
Yeah, because Armada kills you for it.
It's like, who's nutty enough to do that? Like, it was just insane how many up smashes like he just got out of calling Armada to jump.
Yeah.
It was really back and forth. Like, I was...
I think Armada's really got to look at it. Like, he's got to look at how is Mango doing this.
I think in certain moments, like, it almost felt like Armada was like a puppet. Like, Mango just had to, like, sync his timing, and, like, Armada would, like, do down smash or dash attack or do something so preemptive, and Mango would just, like, make him look silly sometimes.
SCGR says Armada misses a lot, too. That's true. Or Mango misses a lot, too. Misses up smash a lot, too. But he gets it enough that it's, like, Armada's going to pay attention.
So here's the cycle that you add to it. When you are getting those up smashes, like, you're getting Armada to think twice about acting in shield, and guess what? Now your grab game gets opened up because you don't want to let go of your shield, but at the same time your shield's dwindling away. So do you roll? Do you do nair? And it gives Mango other options that give him really clean punishes and a psychological edge on this rock, paper, scissors game. So yeah, he misses it some other time, but now he gets Armada thinking, I got a shield, I got a shield, I got a shield. Oh crap, I got shine grabbed and I died.
Yeah. I mean, frankly, it's my least favorite part about Fox. I think the up smash grab mix-up is just really, I think it's cheesy. I don't really like it. I don't know about you. The whole core dynamic of that just seems...
Of which one?
Of up smash versus grab.
Ooh, that's...
Like, isn't it just too simple of a rock, paper, scissors to you? It's just...
I mean, I mean, there's many other things to it. Mango was, like, doing many options there. So I think it's a little cheesy, but I think it's a little bit more complex than that.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things he does in terms of knowing the game is, like, Armada, one of the clips I point out during the analyst test is Armada crouch canceled, but he crouch canceled at a percentage where crouch cancel attacks and grab when we're out of range from Mango. Like, Mango basically hit him with an air, but aerial drifted in such a way that, and it did it to Armada at a percent in such a way that he landed far enough away from Armada that if Armada did something, he'd miss, right?
Yeah.
So then Armada held shield because he actually was smart enough to know that Mango was trying to bait a crouch cancel attack, right?
Yeah.
And then Armada was in shield, saw Mango dash forward and tried to spam a grab, and he just got up smashed, right? Like, things like that are what's happening, and it's kind of nuts. Like, the fact that he knows how far that CC would send and know that he wouldn't get CC down smashed,
Yeah.
and he knows that Armada is in such a bad position after that he'd probably hold shield. And he knows that Armada's not just going to keep holding shield and just let himself get grabbed and would probably just try to beat him to the grab by pressing A. Like, that's what makes that up smash so good.
I think the cool thing here is that it's like kind of when you feel like you build up such a context to, like, certain repeated situations, because we saw a lot of the same situations over and over again between Armada and Mango. I kind of feel like in poker, like, like when you play like 5 hands with a player, like you're not gonna guess that they have pocket aces exactly or whatever, or make the Hollywood play. But like when you play like 100 hands with them and you interact with them enough, and you're like out leveling them, then you get to get those soul reads, and I think that's what was happening a lot, especially in like on both sides.
Yeah, and actually, that happens to Armada more than most. Like it happens against Leffen too, um, where they just know. It feels like where when Armada's going to be open for an up smash,
Yeah.
and like how often did we see Leffen getting a perfect like 85% up smash because he like dash dance around enough to put Armada in situations where he would be baited into something for an up smash, and realistically, like in many of those situations, what was he supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
Like he got after he put his shield up, right? If he wave dash back at the time the Mango did it, he would have gotten up smash. If he nares that shield, it would probably trade it with Mango's up smash, and he would have got hit. If he grabs and tries to beat Mango to the attack, he would have gotten up smash. Like, what was he supposed? He was supposed to roll, I guess, but like that doesn't make you feel good.
I mean, like Mango's the guy that's like has a reputation for catching rolls. So like you don't want to be that guy that gets posterized like Hungrybox, right? Where it's like, oh, he read that roll. Like nobody wants to be that person. Like like Armada after getting like what was it? Even like if you date back, I feel like Armada has this like strange sense that like he never wants to roll against Mango because remember it even dates back to the Genesis 1 era where like he rolls and he became this like iconic like I got caught for the biggest rest roll read.
Armada actually doesn't roll much anymore. He probably needs to roll more.
He needs to, but like there's so many traumatizing moments where you get rolled against a certain player that catches you, you just never want to do it again.
You just got to take it.
You just got to do it. You just got to do it.
You got to do it sometimes, you know? Because it's coming to a point where he's so stuck about doing his out of shield options, and he's so stuck about doing like holding shield or whatever, that he's not spot dodging and rolling, and that's actually pretty good with Peach.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that's a really big point because I didn't really think about it, but he didn't really roll that much, and I feel like as soon as like Mango jumps a certain way, he could get out of jail for free just by rolling.
Yeah, and Mango because Mango knows that he generally goes all in with his movement, and Armada's not forcing him to be honest, right?
Yeah.
Like Mango commits to where Armada is, not where Armada could be, because Armada doesn't take those defensive options.
I mean, even look at Hungrybox. I mean, I think he may do it. Maybe he's on the opposite end of the spectrum where he probably does it a little bit too much. But like rolling,
Hungrybox takes it, or Hungrybox rolls is just like, you know what? If I get got, I got. You know?
Yeah.
That's actually okay. That's kind of all right, because sometimes it happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a known risk that he takes, but the benefit of getting out of pressure is so worth it for him that it's worth looking into.
Yeah.
So I mean, all those games, it was kind of weird because, I mentioned this before, like Armada Mango, I always feel like Mango starts with the momentum. Like even in sets that Mango eventually loses, Armada eventually kind of like does the San Antonio Spurs thing and kind of grits him out and Armada will win. Or like the sets go towards Armada's favor as like it goes longer and longer. And Mango just kind of has to hold on to that small advantage he has. I felt like this was the total opposite.
Yeah. It was Mango who made that comeback.
Yeah. So definitely bizarre. I think a lot of people online were joking around saying this was Jokel Guy's wild ride in reference to the results in bracket, and I have to agree. This is one of the wackiest events I've ever seen.
It was a very, very good one to watch, though, in my opinion. Like, between crews, doubles, singles, if you're a Melee fan, you feel fulfilled. There's so many crazy upsets. Like, pretty much everyone in the chat has a lot of sets that they still want to watch that they missed out on, right?
I mean, there are four recording setups.
I watch, obviously I commentate over a ton, and I watched a ton, but there's still so much I want to watch. Like, I still haven't watched Chill and Chew versus H-Box Mewtwo King. I need to watch that. That's way too good for me to not watch. And so, like, there is, I need to rewatch some stuff, too. Like, it's great. It was great.
It was definitely an awesome weekend.
Also, I love the Rudy chants. Someone mentioned a chant.
What?
Rudy as a chant for Rudolph is dope.
Rudy?
Yeah. That's dope.
So a lot of good stuff, and I'm interested to see what happened on the side streams because we had like 4 recording setups. I think almost all of Top 32 was recorded, and like a decent chunk of Top 64 was. So a lot of sets that we haven't yet to see.
Yeah. So I recommend the Stream Monsters out there, you Melee fans out there. I know people who watch Commentator's Curse are the hardcores of hardcore because we are the analysis show. Yeah, there's a lot of content you probably have to catch up on. That's some of my favorite things about like a good tournament weekend is knowing that, hey, I watched the stream, but there's still like a ton I missed out on, and I got to catch up on.
Yeah.
So
it was a fun weekend. I had a great time. I know that you got to be a part of a production that was very experimental.
yeah, I'm actually in the process of making a new Out of Focus episode detailing my takeaways.
Okay. And I think that could be its own topic. Did you like
It
that?
could be its own topic.
Dude, I finally got to watch the Not Bob stuff and hear your candid reactions to me being the MC.
Oh yeah, I first gave you some crap, and then eventually I turned around on it. You did a good job.
I was actually surprised it actually came out well.
I was shocked.
You know what the key thing was? You know what I learned about myself and why that
What?
went really well?
Why?
Because I was having fun with it.
That's just an adorable thing to say. And it's true.
I mean, you could tell, right? I was enjoying myself doing that.
People liked it because you were clearly having fun with it. And it was just like, I was sitting there, I was like, Tafo's doing a great job. It's freaking great. It's funny. I liked it.
Yeah, and I think that's what I need to do more in commentary. Like, I feel like, not bragging on professionalism, but I feel like there's so much expectation that I put on myself that I'm not having fun. And I think that's what people catch and like about people like you, Scar, right? It's like you can tell they're having fun and you're having fun and they're just kind of drawing off of that, right?
Melee's fun, man. Melee's a lot of fun. I have to learn how to do that in analyst segments. That's a whole different beast. Learned so much, but ultimately it's a lot of fun. I actually think it's funny because like I'm in a weird spot as a caster after this event because I have a lot of learnings I got from the analyst portion, but I also was really proud of me and Wobbles in top 8 for doubles.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I got to listen to it. You guys did a really good job.
I feel like we did really good. I felt really good walking away from it. I have to rewatch it, but it felt really, really good. Also, me and D1 and Cruz felt really good. So
It felt seamless and very natural. Like, sometimes you kind of realize, like, hey, there's commentators here. And sometimes that's not a good thing when you realize, like, it's like a distraction.
yeah,
Like, I felt like you guys fell into the flow of it very well.
yeah. And I know he felt really good about it too. He said that it was the best commentary he felt like he's ever done. I don't know. It's weird with commentary is just crazy complicated. Like I'm appreciating the complexities more and more as I learn more and try to get better. Like it's weird because I think the common conception is the best thing you can do is compliment your caster. Like, hey, he's play by play, so I should be analysis. I'm analysis, so he should be play by play. Or he's funny, so I should be more serious. Or like you're trying to be like a sum of the parts. But it's funny how like with some casters, to get the best out of them, you actually have to become more like them.
Yeah.
And I found that with both Webs and Wobbles, where it's like with Webs, like me and Webs are the best when we're actually just like basically having sex with the microphone and just talking really deeply. Like we're just talking really deeply, and we're like, I'm like a second Webs. We're just double Websing it. We're like OS frogging it all over the world, and that was way better than when I tried to fill the comedy gap, right? Where I tried to where he does his play-by-play analysis that he usually does. I try to fill the comedy gap. That doesn't work quite as well as when we just double Webs it. So it's interesting, right? It's interesting. It's also interesting because I rewatch VODs and I actually usually I feel like I'm the one who's trying to find the holes and try to make my co-caster better. But one thing I really appreciate about D1 in particular is I feel like he makes me better, and
Yeah.
because he's one of the only people who actually let me go on my hype train and just don't stop me.
Ooh.
He just he goes with me. He boards the blur train and he wants to go to the final destination, and he's right there with me. So he's sometimes it feels like he's the only caster who lets me actually get to that Craigasm. He gets me to my spot. He lets me get there, and that feels really good. But anyway, that's just me rambling about commentary. But I want to watch a lot of the
show
sets.
has the word commentary in it.
That's true. I have a lot of reflections I want to do watching the Big House because I did a lot of hours, so I can learn from it. So it's fun.
Yeah. So yeah, I gotta say, you guys, you did a really good job. I think what I kind of learned as a lesson, and it's gonna come out as a lost salt, and I've already told the viewers and the TAFU fans, if I have because in total, between the setting up the desk and commentary blocks, I probably had about a good 15 to 16 hours of work.
Yeah.
Which is fair. If I have that much work, I'm probably not going to enter singles again.
Oh yeah, that should be how it is. So, my philosophy.
Yeah, I do.
Fendi's philosophy is not his philosophy. It's frankly mine. So I advise him to do this. Originally, if you look at a normal tournament, there's 60 commentators, and no one has more than 2 hours as a 2-hour block,
2 blocks, right?
Right. It's actually, I hate it so much. I hate it so much, right? Because you fly out there as a commentator and you feel like you didn't even do anything, right? So we basically chopped it in half, and I feel like it actually needs to be chopped in half again. So it's kind of crazy. I do think that we can work even more hours. As much as it felt like, I think I worked 4 hours day 1, 4 hours day 2, and then okay, I worked 9 hours day 3, but that was a special case. Most people work pretty much 4 hours a day. It really should be 6 to 8 hours. Commentators can do that. It's not that difficult.
Yeah.
And it would help get people's favorite commentators on screen more. It would probably level up the production considerably. And it would also finally allow commentators to get paid because, frankly, most commentators don't deserve to get paid if they're only doing 2 hours of casting.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I think, it's just so hard to... I mean, I already told you what happened with one of my blocks, right? I'm closing out a singles block, and then immediately I see on the stream queue the little screen that tells you what's coming up. Zane versus Tafo.
Yeah, that's exhausting, right?
And I was just damn, I don't even get to warm up. And... I would have rather had it that, if that's going to be the case, I would rather, kind of forfeit and keep commentating.
Yeah, I think that, we're at a point, we're at a point where you can't commentate and play anymore. We have reached that level of, it was going to happen eventually. It's one of the reasons why I stopped playing seriously is because I knew it would happen. There's no way that conflict would naturally arise. And if it's okay if you're going to be on if you're a second stream commentator and you're on the third or fourth stream or the second stream or whatever it is at these major tournaments. But if you're a mainstay commentator, yeah, you can't enter anymore. It's this the fact that Lovich had to be skipped on and replaced for so many of his blocks just goes to show it. Productions can't deal with that. That's not something they should have to deal with.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, definitely we saw some of the issues come up. I don't think we expected Lovich to do this well, right?
No, not this well, but it's actually not that surprising.
This is probably the upper end of what we thought, though.
Yeah, upper end, but I mean he's still Lovich, so it could happen.
Yeah, he's good. It's gonna be interesting because what was it? Up ahead, we still have Canada Cup, Summit, UGC, DreamHack, Don't Park on the Grass.
And Blood for Blood this weekend.
Blood for Blood, yeah.
What else is there? There's Eclipse in Europe. Olympus, I guess? Question mark. What else is there? Eden in Chicago. That's Bro's event. So that's like some of the stuff. Uh, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff left to go. I don't know what I want to go to. Deep down, I don't really want to go to DreamHack Winter. I think I was going to, but like last year, the travel was just so painful. And it's during Thanksgiving. I would rather spend Thanksgiving with my family. Similarly with Canada Cup, I think I would rather spend time like with Halloween, like Halloween weekend. Like I don't know, but I'll definitely go to Summit. And obviously, I'll be at Blood for Blood. I've figured out the rest. I don't know what else I'll go to. I'll go to UGC too. So I think
Wait,
that's
is that public knowledge that you're going to be at the summit? Actually, like, why would you not be? You're the Don.
of course I'm going to be at Summit.
You're the Don.
I go wherever I want to go. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's fair. Dude,
If I'm not at an event, it's probably because I didn't want to go.
you didn't get fired. You quit.
Exactly. There you go.
You're so funny. You're out of control, man. There were
Yeah.
questions about your ego, and I was like, no, we can't tell the blur. It would go too high. It's too ridiculous.
See, the thing is, it can't go any higher, so don't worry about it.
Yes, you can.
You think so?
Your ego or what?
My ego, I don't think it can go any higher. No, it's possible. I'm at peak.
Yeah, I think you're pretty high.
Yeah. The Fox owner says, do you think commentators being top-level players is necessary or at least beneficial to high-quality analysis and commentary, though? I think it's beneficial to viewers respecting it. I don't think it's necessarily true, though. I feel like, and it's a frustration for most casters, but when PPMD says the exact same thing as Frederick Lamar, if the same words came out of their mouth, people are going to view one as revelatory and the other one as Fendi talking. You know, it's not very fair, but that's just how the world works. Sorry, that's one of the benefits of being a good player. People respect your opinions. Nothing wrong with that, right? So, but I don't think it's necessary. Absolutely not necessary.
But
and I
to
think,
be fair, the people that are like slightly weaker in terms of their play, they actually go out of their way to study the game and ask people questions all the time.
yeah, and I think like if you just think about it, like some of those people have extraordinarily good analysis, like far better than players above their skill level.
Like even Chroma like makes an active effort to make sure that he doesn't say things wrong, and he goes extra mile. Like those people that are doing well that aren't top players, they actually go the extra mile to make sure that their analyst is at least serviceable.
Chicago Ben says Fendi hate is stupid. He puts in work. Thank you, Chicago Ben.
Aw.
I'm one of the people who makes fun of Fendi a lot, but I do it jokingly, and I think he's actually a legend. He took on the emceeing job that no one literally. Do you guys understand how nerve-wracking that must be? To no one in history has done this job before, and you're there, and you have to start doing it like on the fly, and like he's not exactly the most experienced caster. It's one thing for me and D1 to like step up as like to be the first analyst to ever do it for Smash, but we've at least been casting for a decade. He's been around for like a year, and he took up that role, and it was like comfortable.
Yeah.
That's really impressive.
That's a position where like it's really hard to succeed in, and like you can only really take blame. Like if you do a decent job, no one's going to tell you that you did a good job.
And his mic sucked, so it's like give Fendi some love, man. Give.
Yeah, I mean, we make fun of Fendi all the time because we know him. I hope it doesn't become one of those cases where everybody thinks it's like fun to make fun of Fendi, even if they don't know him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You have to learn to use that. I think like the weird thing about Smash is that like everyone makes fun of everyone, right? So like I get made fun of a lot, Scar gets made fun of a lot, Toph gets made fun of a lot, D1 gets made fun of a lot. Some people are better at taking it than others. Like I think I'm pretty good at taking it. I think Scar's pretty good at taking it. I think Toph's good at taking it. D1, he's okay at taking it.
He's hit or miss depending on.
He's hit or miss depending on his mood. But the point is that like.
Dude,
you gotta know how to take it.
I turn into a savage during SSBM rank time because like I'm so like sick of everybody that I'm just like, no, shut up. Like you were absolutely wrong. I have zero patience for you right now.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I got you. You know, I know what you're saying. And people like, especially you're in a position with as an analyst, along with me, I guess, uh, of like we have to say our opinions about the game, and that's going to anger people. People are not going to like that, you know. But that's like no one else is doing it, so we have to do it. It's it's important for the growth of Smash that people actually try to cover the results and the story, not just the story, but also the actual competitive sphere of the game. No,
Yeah.
no. Before the show, it was very, very poorly covered. Um, so, like in my perspective, sure, you put your neck out there when you do jobs like Fendi did with MCing, but you're doing it for the good of the people, and people got to realize that. That's for their own good. It's for their own benefit.
Yeah.
Subby says, I mean, in all fairness, just because he puts in work doesn't mean we should be expected to appreciate the product. I agree with that. I think that's fine. If you don't think he's doing a good job, that's a different thing. I think many people probably don't think I do a good job either. But I think you can respect it, and that's kind of where I'm getting at, right? Where you respect the work ethic and you respect like the bravery and the courage, especially since, as you guys all know, there's not much gain to this sort of stuff in Smash Brothers in particular. You're not getting much out of it. And now it's been getting better and better, and there will soon be a lot to gain. And that's when you're going to see the vultures come out, who will be looking for careers.
Vultures. That's actually a funny way to put it.
No. When you look at other esports and you see like career personalities, like if you go to another esport and you put up a listing for like host, right, or MC or whatever, you're going to get people whose background is not esports at all. They don't even know what the games are. They're like a news anchor woman for Fox News, or he's an actor or something like that, and their passion is not from the same place as ours, right? There's nothing wrong with that, and that's part of being professional. And sometimes those people are even better than the people who are endemic to the group. But we're not there yet, and that's for sure. And the reason is because the people who want to do it are the ones who actually care.
Yeah. Kind of nice that we have like a ironic self-filtering system.
Yeah, our self-filtering system is that we don't pay.
Yeah.
That filters all of that out. I guarantee it.
It's like a robber, or not that say that they're like, oh gosh, I can't think of a better analogy. Oh, you want to rob us? Go ahead. We don't have insurance or anything.
Yeah, exactly. You can't sue someone who doesn't have any money. What are you gonna sue us for? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What money are you taking? But yeah, again, that stuff's gonna change and get better. We do need to get to a point where commentators can improve. Like it's gotten a little bad on that front. Like because of the low pay, it's made it so that there's just a gaggle of commentators and no one's really getting better at it. So pay would do a lot, but no pay also means that a lot of those vultures are kept at bay.
Yeah. Anyway, so we agreed that we're gonna do our Q&A on Friday.
Can I make a final point about that last one, actually? Is that one thing you'll notice about Melee, despite it being a top 5 esport, is that, or close to it, 5 or 6, whatever you want to call it.
What is the top 6?
I'd say League, CS, Dota are the top 3 for sure.
Okay, that's fair.
Depending on your values, you can order them in different ways. If you want to say prize pool, it's Dota. If you want to say pure total viewership, you say League. If you say pure peak viewership, some CS majors actually have higher than League peak. So depends on what you're valuing. Number 4 could be argued to be Smash, could be argued to be Street Fighter, could be argued to be Call of Duty, could be argued to be Hearthstone, depending if you even call it an esport, depending on how much of a percentage of its total scene you think is esports versus casual. But that's like the next tier-ish. So some people like to say Overwatch. That scene's not very developed yet, especially in viewership, but there's a lot of people like OGN and E-League who are putting money into the game. So that's something. It's still super new, so I haven't really cemented its spot in the pantheon yet.
And, and I think
But
like
regardless, yeah, like in Overwatch, you see people from other casters from other games going to cast it, right? They're not doing that for us, and they're not doing it for a reason, and so we don't have to deal with that sort of competition.
I think overall like we did a I think we did a pretty good job collectively as a commentator team. Like for
What do you
example,
mean? Sort of depends.
what do you mean?
I think obviously like we made strides by innovating, but I don't think we were clean. I think there's a lot more we can do. I think that we're still like we're far better. Everyone's a better commentator than they are a host, analyst, or interviewer. Like our all of our sideline reporting needs to get like 3,000 times better,
I mean no,
right?
I'm not talking about that, but like I mean our commentary duos.
Pretty okay. Some better than others. I'd say yes, generally pretty good. Smash is blessed by having good commentators. That's because we have more experience than any other esport, right?
But I
Like
mean
we
like look
should be
at day
good.
3, it was all like really solid.
Oh, you mean yeah. That's gonna be good. I don't think in terms of the pure in-game commentating, I think everyone's pretty freaking good at it by now, through a lot of experience, right? Now, could they be better at media training and like knowing when to hit it to ads and when to do things right and like all that work with production? Yeah, but for
Yeah.
the actual core content of it, yeah, our guys are really really good. So they're some of the best. Um, but yeah, those other roles not so much.
You know, yeah,
we
that
all we
I
all
mean
have
that's
a
the
lot to
first
learn.
time like I mean, yeah, we could have done better.
We all have a lot to learn on every other role. Like it's hard.
I killed my voice because I used improper technique for the MC.
Oh, did you not stop talk through your stomach? You don't know how to do that?
Well, so I couldn't really get good feedback on myself, so I didn't know how I sounded.
Yeah, you just got to talk and hope you sound good.
Project from my stomach, not from my
Yeah.
nasal. Yeah.
Also, it's a sad thing, but like people, like, I try not to get hyped during events because I don't want to lose my voice, and it sucks because I feel hype, but I can't say I don't want to yell. But I remember back in events, like you remember the old school when I used to yell all the time, right? Like
Yeah.
during the event, and then I learned the hard way that you can't do that and commentate. So I just like freak out in my own little way.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I noticed that about you, but I love the blur screaming.
Yeah, dude. I want to go nuts, trust me, but I'm just not trying to kill my voice.
You need to go nuts, man. I
Yeah.
love it when the blur goes nuts.
So do I, man. Okay.
All
Anyway,
right.
I think that roughly covers it. Again, guys, Blood for Blood this weekend. It's going to be dope. Make sure to check out the Big House VODs. We got a lot of big events coming up in the net until the end of the year for the race for SSBM rank. Really exciting part of the season as we finish up the year.
You know, another thing I'd like to add is I love that the stories just kind of create themselves.
Oh yeah,
Like it seems like everybody came to the consensus that it's like, oh hey, it's like a race to like the SSBM rank. Like I didn't even have to say anything. It was just collectively what everybody thought.
yeah. It's because I mean you don't have to force storylines in Melee. They're just there.
Yeah,
Melee's dope like that.
and
We have
everybody
people
picks
making
up
diss
on it
tracks for no
naturally.
yeah. It just happened. Like that's one of the other things I like about Blood for Blood is like I didn't make that happen. It just happened, right? It is the result of two regions like coming down and playing at each other's events, right?
Yeah.
It just organically happened, and that's dope to me. Yeah.
Wow. I wish I could impersonate Foster. That'd be amazing. Anyway,
Foster's a legend.
all right. So Q&A we will move to Friday. And do 2 episodes. You know, it's a treat, right?
The dream.
Alrighty. Well, I mean, does this about wrap it up?
Yeah, sounds good, man. Good show. It was a lot of fun.
All right, I'm gonna stop the